What is going on, everybody in the chat? How are we doing? It's the Wolfpack Podcast live with me, Dan, again. We've got a lovely panel and a lovely special guest and a lot to talk about, a lot to dive into. So wherever you are, YouTube, Facebook, X, Instagram, Spotify, whatever you're doing, feel free, get involved. Please like, follow, do all of those things as well. But before you do any of those things today, what I want you to do before I get the guests in is there's a little QR code there. Can you see that? If you scan that today, you will be put up to the petition, which is the most important thing at the moment as a Wolves fan. It's what you should be thinking about before anything else at the moment is this petition, because we've all heard about the season tickets and everything going up with the prices, and it is absolutely appalling and it needs to stop. And to do that, you need to go into that petition. Oh, there it is, and sign and get involved. Right, after you've done that, let's get our people involved as well. So on the panel, of course, as always, we've got Jon. How you doing, Jon? You all right?
I'm all good, mate. Thanks.
There he is. Nice. Cool. We've also got Kyle. How you doing, Kyle?
What's up, people?
How's things? You good?
All good, my brother. All good. Ready for this pod as usual. Let's go.
Love it. And our
Ready
special guest, of course, is the amazing Danyal Khan from Skysports. What a legend. Welcome, Danyal. How you doing?
Thank you very much for having me, guys.
Good. Nice one.
Thanks,
cheers, legend.
Thanks.
Cool. So we've got loads and loads to go over. So we ain't going to mess about too much. But what I want you to do, if you're just joining, 148 of you here, that's fantastic. Good to see you all. Please get involved like we're doing in the chat right now. So Drago says, good evening, greetings everyone, sorry for the delay, but I was listening to the album Thriller and realised I had a notification. You know what, banger album, I'm going to let you off, mate. That's
and at least he's got his notifications on.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Well done.
Love that. North's here as well. What's up going on, North? You good? Sativa's here, all the crew's here, that's fantastic. Jamie's here as well, nice one, Jamie. Yeah, wherever you are, get involved as much as you can. Ian says, get him out. All I have to say about Fosun. Yeah, we're going to talk about Fosun in great depth, so don't you worry about that. Yeah, like I said right at the start, there is a QR code over there. Be scanning that QR code to go over to the petition and sign it, please. Let me just check how many we've got right now. So at the moment, we've got 12,815 signatures. And their next goal is 15,000. That's absolutely incredible work. But I know there's load more than that over all of the various channels on social media, so you can definitely make yourselves known and get involved as much as you can. Right, now it is the end of the season podcast, so we've got the whole season to talk about, but we're going to do it in little gradual bursts. So our first part of this segment is to talk about your player of the season. So I'm going to start with Kyle, then I'll go to Danyal, and then I'm going to go to Jon. So Kyle, player of the season and why?
Player of the season, lovely comment there from 123 North Street as well. I really appreciate that, so thank you. Player of the season has got to be Lamina for me.
Lamina?
I think Lamina's been class in that midfield. He's just been solid. I don't think I can remember him having a particularly bad game, apart from when he's looked a little bit tired and a little bit leggy, but that's understandable. You know, they're prime athletes playing at the top of the game week in, week out, training hard. And you can tell Lamina's got that presence on the pitch where he can just try hard, make a difference, give 110%. So, yeah, Lamina for me. But if we're looking at most improved, then it's probably still Totti or Aït-Nouri for me.
Hey.
Because I mentioned Totti, and I think he goes a bit under the radar, where he's not really had much to do as such. Do you know, he's not like a focal point of your defence, but he's fit into that defence, especially when Dawson's not been there as well. And he's give Kilman a run for his money, to be fair. And I think Totty, you know, he's been a bit better than Kilman this year, if I'm honest.
Class. So I can see you've got Polence's shirt behind you again as well. Nice one, mate.
Mate, that's hanging up now. That's on the wall. Nailed it in.
Yeah. Danyal, what about you, mate? What's your player of the season so far? It's ended. Player of the season.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great shout about Lamina. I mean, I don't think anyone would have expected him to score as many goals as he has either this season. I think maybe I'm being a bit biased because I've interviewed him quite a few times this season, but I think for me, Mateus Cunha is probably up there. I think when I look at Wolves, I mean, especially last year, when I look at, you know, when he was first signed in January for a huge fee, and I remember breaking the news on Sports News and being like, looking at his stats, you know, this guy hasn't really had a really good record of scoring a lot of goals before really in his career. And you look at him this season under Gary O'Neill, I mean, he's just gone up levels, really. And he says that it's actually, you know, down to Gary O'Neill himself because he's never had a relationship like he does with O'Neill. And that's quite interesting considering Lopetegui brought him in last year and you would have thought they would have had a very good connection. So I think, you know, I go back to maybe the goal against Nottingham Forest, of course, the Black Country Derby as well. I mean, some of his performances have been outrageous and you just hope that he's only going to get better. So he's probably my player this season. But if you're looking at most improved, like Kyle was saying, I think that's Hee-chan Hwang. Because again, where have his goals come from? I don't think anyone would have thought Hee-chan Hwang was going to become this prolific number 9. Down to good coaching from Neil, but I think shout out to both of them.
Nice. John, same question, mate.
I'm going to sound like I'm copying here, but I was actually going to go for Cunha as well. I think, as you touched on, you look at his previous clubs he's been with and some of his figures, and the fact that Gary O'Neill has been able to coach him in a way where now he's getting in the right position, he's finishing, he's more improved now. And as well, I think he's such a happy guy, like he's infectious, not just with the fans, but with the other players. And you can just see when he's there, the whole team just seems happy. And it sometimes it's more about just football. And I think he brings that really good character and energy. You can see it behind the scenes a little bit in some of the videos they release. He's always laughing and joking. He's got that relationship now you've seen with like Hwang and Gomez. It just seems like maybe before with Lopetegui that wasn't there, but now Gary O'Neill has got him coming out of the shell a little bit more. You can see that now with Cunha, and you can see that on the pitch as well. He's scoring some unbelievable goals, and at the beginning of the season he couldn't hit a barn door. He played amazing against Man United, but he just couldn't score. And I remember some of my friends were messaging me. One of them was a Liverpool fan saying he's the next Traore. He can do everything right when it comes to the finishing, he just can't quite get there. He can't quite do it. But you can see now that he is getting some great stats, goals and assists, and I think the future's really bright for him. He's getting obviously he hasn't been called up for Brazil, but he has had a call up this season, and I assume if he continues to do what he can do and not get injured, he's probably going to get another call up. And I just think we've got a great player on our hands. But I also agree with what you said about Lamina. I think he's a Rolls Royce of a player. He's so strong, he's physical. He's a bargain, really, for how much we paid for him. So fair play to whoever scouted him because they've done a great job, got him for a great fee. And I want to touch on someone else, which I probably shouldn't do because I've gone for too many people here. But I just think Dawson as well. I know he's been injured, but you can see how good Dawson was. And then he got injured and then hasn't quite been the same, and a lot of people put that to the goal scoring, but a lot of it is in the defence. The defence just hasn't looked that great since Dawson went, so fair play to Dawson, because I think if he didn't get injured, I think he would have had a massive shout for one of the players of the season. When you think especially what he did against Man City the first time round, how good he was against Haaland. He's a great player, and I think when we see him come back, hopefully for pre-season and for the start of the season, we'll really see what kind of player we missed.
Fair play, John. A lot there, mate. Love that.
Did John want to add the other 3 in our squad?
Yeah,
I'm only joking, mate.
for me, honestly, it really is Cunha for me, because I think that when he got injured, you saw the team that was going to play without him, and it was not a good team. We didn't have anyone to get us up the pitch anymore, hold the ball up, which he's not great at, but he's probably the best at it in our team, isn't he? We didn't have anyone who could feed the ball like him as well. He just had a lot of traits that we missed. And as soon as he was injured, you could just look at Gary O'Neill and think, bloody hell, was he playing our team around him? Do you know what I mean? Was he that kind of player? And when he got injured, it looked like he was trying to find a new solution, really. And I don't think he ever really did, to be honest. And I think that was really just testament to how Cunha's been this season, really. Sometimes just the first name on the team sheet, isn't he? Like, for me, if I think about who I want to keep more than anyone, really, it's Cunha. Because
he's the type of guy you can build a front line around, isn't he?
Yeah.
You kind of have him as a focal point, like I like him in a number 10 role, I do. I know we don't really play with that, but I'd quite like to see him in a number 10, just, getting the ball, driving forward, feeding that front three in front of him. I think that'd be lethal, but I'm not Gary O'Neill.
I think he's shown as well, like John was saying, though, a huge part of this season has been his improvement, right, under Gary O'Neill. And when I spoke to him a few weeks ago, he actually said that, Lopetegui was trying to get him as a 9 and, he was trying to make him make those runs into the box, which he said, like, doesn't come that natural to him. But I think at the Chelsea game where he got his hat-trick at Stamford Bridge, he told me that was a huge moment for him, actually, because you remember some of those goals, it's a late run or an early run into the box.
Yeah.
He said actually got a lot of satisfaction from that goal because it's not one he usually scores, to be honest. So I think the coaching, it really has to have a lot of credit for Cunha. But he's also shown he can be flexible, so he could probably play as a 9 now. And you'll probably, as fans, have a bit more faith in him that he'll get a goal now. But I agree with I think his best position is going to be as a second striker near Hwang or whoever leads the line next season.
Nice.
Cool. Nice.
Yep.
So I know that a lot of people that are watching this at the moment are probably going to be watching this and going, why are you bloody being so nice and happy? Like the club's in absolute turmoil. But the thing is, we do a fortnightly podcast, and it just so happens that we've missed like 2 weeks of absolute madness. So you're just going to have to bear with us until right at the end where we talk to you about how the club is at the moment. But we're really talking about the things we've achieved, which shouldn't go under the radar, really. Obviously, Daniel, you report for Sky, and I'm guessing, like, under the grapevine, you were probably thinking that, Gary O'Neill coming in, all the players going out, I bet you were kind of worried for the season, really.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we were just speaking before, interviewed John the day before Gary O'Neill was appointed, and we did a bit on Sky Sports News talking about, what a shock, Lopetegui leaving 3, 4, 5 days before the season. Unheard of, really. I mean, I don't think any of us could probably remember when that's happened in the Premier League before for any club. And like you said, I mean, Gary O'Neill has said it himself this season, hasn't he? He's saying, I know I wasn't the big sexy name coming into Wolves. I'm sure people were underwhelmed, especially after a name like Lopetegui. And again, you look at the names they lost. I mean, I don't know how you all feel, but I don't think... I mean, I was asked quite a lot, by the presenters when we were breaking that story, Wolves have lost all these players. But actually, Jimenez, I think you'd all agree, was past it. Although he was a great servant for Wolves, wasn't really...
Definitely.
Adama Traore, okay on the bench, but was he a huge miss? I don't really think so. Again, he hasn't really shown that growth, I don't think. So I just think half the squad, Nathan Collins, again, I think the money you got for him was actually pretty decent considering the season he had last year. So, yes, you'd love to keep Neves, but actually when you look at all the players who left, you didn't maybe get the bodies in, but I don't think they were huge losses. And, as Gary O'Neill said, relegation, staying away from it was the main objective, and he blew that down, didn't he?
Yeah. Nice. Cool. I'm going to move on. The next one is probably going to be the harder one for you guys, I'd imagine, which is your flop of the season. So what player did you think would do better? Go to Kyle first.
Let's get the fans involved as well. Everyone listening, put in that comment section who's your flop of the season, because that's going to help us out. But I hate to say it, but it's got to be our skipper.
Jeff Shee.
yeah. Jeff, yeah.
Jeff Shee up front.
No, unfortunately, it's Kilman for me. I think I've got to cut him some slack because he's had a lot of pressure on his shoulders, being captain and trying to probably be a bit too mature for what he is at the moment in this time in his career. I think there's a lot of expectation on him. It's hard, isn't it? It's hard, to lead, to be a captain, to lead a back line, as well as lead a team. It's not an easy job. You look at the likes of the other captains in the league, your Van Dijks and that, they're natural born leaders, and I just unfortunately don't think Kilman is. I do like him as a player. I think in a back five, he fits in, and when he's got the ball at his feet, he's one of our safer options. But I just don't think he's cut it this season, unfortunately. I think he's looked very lost without Dawson, and that just goes to show again. All credit to Dawson. He is a natural leader. His experience comes out, and he's trying to pass a lot of that on to Max. And I know that. But if you're talking about the season we've just had, then yeah, it's Max for me.
Nice. Danyal, same question.
Like you said, it's really hard, isn't it? I think rather than flop, I'd say maybe someone I expected more from and maybe had a bit of an unlucky season through injury. I'd probably go with Hugo Bueno, only because last year when he came into the side under Lopetegui, and again, I've had the fortune to interview him a few times. He's such a switched-on young player, speaks so well. And when he came in last season, I thought, wow, this kid, unreal. You've maybe got a left back here for 5-10 years. Hopefully you still have that. But I think this year, I know he's had a few niggles, a few injuries, and O'Neill has spoken about he's just not been able to get any sort of run in the team. And of course, Aïnouri has been part of that because he's been just insane this season as well. But I think Bueno is just not quite kicked on the way I would have liked him to see anyway. So for me, hopefully he comes back better next year and he can kind of bounce back. But for me, everyone else has been pretty good. So
Nice. John, about yourself?
So agree with both players that you've said. So I'm going to pick someone different and more of a flop of the season because he's actually a new player that we signed for the season. But I'm going to go with Santi Bueno. I just was expecting a little bit more. I know some people, I think it was Jacqueline Oatley did a podcast last week and she was adamant he wasn't Premier League quality, and she actually said that she really thinks that Wolves need to sell him because she said they'll never be good enough, which I thought was a little bit harsh. But I can see her points. He doesn't sometimes get in the correct positions. He doesn't seem the quickest of players. Sometimes he makes quite rash decisions. I think he's one of those players where I was just expecting a little bit more. From where he came from, he was obviously had a really good season in the league. I was quite excited to see him come in. Yeah, we didn't pay massive money for him. I think it was around 9 million, something like that, around that kind of line. But I was just expecting a little bit more, and I don't think he's had any games where I've really thought, wow, this is a really good centre-back. He's been very average, and I think that's maybe okay for a squad player. But I can't see him being in the starting lineup next season. On the bench, I think for the money, I don't think we can complain too much because I think 9 million quid nowadays, when you think about how much some clubs spend on defenders, I think he's going to be more of a bench player. But yeah, for me, it's a tough question because he hasn't been terrible and he kind of slotted in, but the defence did kind of go downhill a little bit when Dawson went and he came in. So that's just my opinion.
Do you think Santi's been worse than Max?
Yeah.
Do you? Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
That's an interesting one.
Yeah, I don't think Max has been great, but I just thought there's a few moments. I know they're all bad, but I thought in the Man City game, I thought in the Liverpool game, I thought Santi was really poor. And I thought Max was poor, but I just thought Santi was even worse.
It's hard though, when it coming up against like your Man Cities and your Liverpools, they're like top teams. So you do expect them, especially if they're brand new to the Premier League, to struggle. But no, fair enough, mate. Fair enough. You're entitled to your opinion. Like, what about you, Dan? Who's your flop?
I'm gonna say it's probably gonna be Hugo Bueno, but I can understand or almost why as well. I just feel like everyone in his position just really elevated this season, and I just think they made it their position. And I just feel like when he was called upon, he didn't really have the best of games, other than probably, ironically, the Coventry game when he scored.
Yeah.
Probably one of like the better games for him. And I mean, if we'd have gone on and won that game, who knows, man? That could have gave him a lot of confidence. I feel like the fact we lost that game, I feel like it just kind of made it a nothing goal, which was a bit of unfortunate really for him. I know as well, because obviously he just signed a contract, didn't he? Which was quite a recent contract, and it's like Danyal said, when he really started to fall into the team, into the 11. You saw him like a really good player there, and perhaps now he's been out of the team a little bit. It's a new season. He's got a new pre-season ahead of him and everything. I know Gary O'Neill likes him, so it could be a different player next season for all we know. It's like Hwang Hee-chan. We've just been talking about Hwang Hee-chan. Like last season, you wouldn't even think he would be in the squad. Now he's like the one player we missed when he got injured as well. So, but I think in terms of the season, in terms of a player that I thought underperformed when asked on, I'd probably go for Hugo Bueno. But I have got a second one as well.
Go on.
And it's a little bit harsh, really, to be fair. But I just think if you've got Jose Sarr, and it's not Jose Sarr, by the way, but every other keeper that has come in for him have looked awful every single time. So for me, Dan Bentley hasn't had a good game, in my opinion. It looked like, I thought we wouldn't have another goalkeeper that was like Jose Sarr, that couldn't really cook a ball straight. And then he just comes on for, what was it against, is it Sheffield United? Burnley or someone, I can't remember who it was. He played instead, and he didn't really show much sign of being a number 2, really. Which I think that's why we're sort of in the market for a bit of an understudy to go underneath Jose Sarr, or maybe even a replacement.
I was going to say, would you like an understudy, or do you think you want a keeper who can maybe challenge him a bit, maybe push him a bit more?
Definitely.
A new keeper for me.
Yeah.
For me, there's a lot of clubs now in the Premier League, especially where we are in the position in the table, that have got 2 pretty solid keepers. Do you know what I mean? Even before Villa went really far with the Champions League, when they were under Gerrard, they still had I think it's Sweden international, Olsen and Martinez. You know what I mean? And Palace have got Palace have got 2 good keepers, haven't they? So I'm just saying, I just feel like I think Bentley could be a good third keeper, because most clubs now have got an okay third keeper.
Yeah.
It's one of them, isn't it? It's what you look for, and I think, a lot of Premier League teams now have kind of adapted Pep's outlook on defending and playing out from the back. And if you've got to use your sweeper keeper, and if your sweeper keeper can't use the ball at his feet, you're a bit stuffed, really, because you kind of act, if you're playing a back 4, that acts as like your 5th man. And if you're playing a back 5, he kind of sits behind the line ready to intercept anything to play out into the midfield. But it's hard, isn't it? Like, what do you look for? Because Sarr is a good shot stopper, but it's
sound.
So you've got to have a bit of both now.
What about game of the season, Kyle?
My game of the season, easy for me. Baggies away, because we ate Albion. No, Baggies away, 2-0. Oh, mate, it just tastes so good. Even now, it's like, yes, we beat the Baggies 2-0. They didn't even score. Yeah. Like, obviously, there was a big hoo-ha that went on, and I don't condone any of that at all. I think it's just, there's no place for it. So it's just stupid. But, everyone had a good time that day, pretty much. And it was just good.
If you're West Brom.
Well, yeah, but we don't care, do we? No, we do. All love, it's all love. But yeah, Baggies away for me. That's my game of the season.
Nice one, Daniel. What about you?
Yeah, just purely to be different. I mean, I was at that game reporting on it. It was amazing, to be fair, just to be there for it. More objective, to be fair, in terms of when you look at Gary O'Neill's first season, when you first started thinking he's getting something going here, I think the game of Molineux against Spurs, coming back to beat them 2-1.
Yeah.
I mean, just the goals. I mean, Sarabia's goal, and was it Lamina got the winner in the 90-something minute? I mean, for me, that was I think, just where everyone, especially in the media, but outside of Wolves, were like, whoa, Gary O'Neill was actually giving him a bit more credit than he probably deserves, right? So for me, that was a huge moment for Wolves and their season, and for Gary O'Neill as well.
John, same question.
I think it was the Man City win. I just thought that was just an unbelievable game. I just think it was where some of our forwards really started clicking. Some of the Gary O'Neill's tactics started really working, because up to that point, there was a lot of people that were saying, is he a bit of a PE teacher? Can he take this club forward? And then out of nowhere, we've just got this shock result, which, let's face it, I remember going on Twitter and X, and everyone was talking about it. It was a week later, we did Monday Night Football, which then really got fans that don't even follow Wolves starting to really appreciate him and the details he goes into behind the scenes tactically. I watched Monday Night Football with him, and I just thought he spoke really well, and it really changed my opinion. And I think that's where the fans really got on his side and backed him. So for me, there's more than just the win there. There's the whole fan base that kind of turned due to that game.
Yeah, I agree completely. That was going to be my choice as well, John. Just because the fact that before that, we're having a bit of bad form. We lose to Ipswich, and you're just thinking, is Gary O'Neill the right man? And then you could just see in that game, similar to what John said, really, is that the team just started to gel more. The ideas were started to sort of settle in. The double pivot, the things that they'd been working on in training were really making themselves known, really. And you were starting to see a different Wolves. And what I really liked was the fact that any other time playing City, when you're really up against it, you just sit back, don't you? And you just hope you're going to win them 1-0 or something. And it just seemed to me like, even when they scored and it was 1-1, it just seemed to me like the team didn't give up going forward when they could. I think we utilised pace a lot better. And I mean, that game, if anything, when you look back, it just makes you miss all the players that were injured after that as well. Neto pretty much ran the show in that game. Our midfield was unbelievable, made Matheus Nunes cry into the dressing room. So I just think that that game was a massive one for me. But it's like what Kyle said. I mean, if you're looking at that question and you're not saying Albion away, then I mean, I don't know, because that if I saw that this time last season, if you're going to tell me we're going to beat Albion away in a cup game, mate, I'd have took that over pretty much anything, really, to be fair. I've got too many people that support Albion that I've just got it. They just know that even when they went down, they get a couple of results against us, and it's one thing it weighs on us all the time. And now we've got the, Matheus Cunha ground now instead of the Hawthorns, which is lovely. Cool. All right. Cool. We'll move on. So, game of the season we've got. What about game to forget, Kyle? What are you thinking?
I've got two. So, I think because it was a complete whitewash in the end, I think the City game when they beat us 5-1. I think that I could very easily forget that. But it's one of them, unfortunately. It sticks in your mind like a little thorn. And it's really annoying. And you're like, yep, it happened. Can we just forget about it now? Or the Newcastle game where they beat us 3-0. But there's reasoning on that one. It's not just the scoreline for me on that. We played in parts we played some really good football. I think we had more possession that game. I think we created similar amount of shots. Our shots on target wasn't a lot, so it just goes to show there, we were missing a few things up front. And it, we created I think, what have I got here? 113 more passes than them. So we were pinging the ball around nice, and we were, we were doing everything we possibly could, really. But it was one of them. With what we had, Newcastle just turned us over, and Newcastle are a quality side, same as City. So, it's hard to go to these places and go and get a result, but it is what it is. They're the two for me.
Nice. Daniel?
I'm quite surprised, Carl. I thought there was... okay. Sorry. No, I thought for me it has to be the Coventry game, doesn't it? I mean, and obviously, like I was saying about those games, obviously the circumstances, going into the game, you thought, weirdly, Wolves are somewhat underdogs, even though they're at home, just because of the team that was available. I mean, there were so many injuries, weren't there? And you didn't even know who was going to... I remember doing the press conference before the game, asking Gary, Gary, team news, who's going to be fit? And he says, I've never done this ever in my managerial career, but I'm not going to give anything away. And I was just like, okay. So nothing? And he was like, nope, sorry. And, so you thought, okay, the expectations were low going in, but then to come back 2-1 after being 1-0 down, like you mentioned earlier, John, Bueno's goal, Carl, Bueno's goal could have been huge. You just can't lose at that point, can you? And I think there'll forever be a kind of what if you had all your players available. You're all of a sudden a first Wembley semi-final and however long, since 2018 or so. I think for me that was the huge what if moment for that squad, and I think they were never really the same after that. I think you could feel a bit of the energy really after that game had been kind of kicked out of them, really.
I knew someone was going to say Coventry, so that's why I never said it. I like to be a bit different, but Coventry.
Go on, John. Same like question. Mate.
Yeah, same as before. Yeah, definitely Coventry. I was gutted. I remember after I just didn't want to talk about Wolves, didn't want to talk about football. Just locked my phone and literally depressed for days after. It hurt me that much. I was just absolutely devastated, and the way it happened, as you say, with the Bueno's goal, and in your heart you think this is it, we've done enough, and then really poor defending. And I think maybe this is where my agendas come against some of the defenders this season after Dawson got injured. That some of them haven't been good enough. It just seems when Dawson went, that was a game for an example where some of the defenders just showed that they weren't good enough, and it was really disappointing. But then again, as you say, there was many injuries. And it was a really difficult one. If you think about some of the players we had up front and stuff, it just shows that we've got no depth in the team, and it has to be addressed next season. But really disappointing game, and it's one that really affected me personally. I was just so upset.
It's the Coventry game for me as well. Sorry, Carl.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
I was out with my missus on that game. I couldn't attend. I had a ticket and everything, but it was her birthday and she wanted to go to London, so we went to watch the Phantom of the Opera. Kyle, it was great. It's lovely. Loved it. And I was in the lobby waiting, and I was like looking at my phone as you do as a Wolves fan, and I saw it and I was like, bloody hell, we've come back. Have whatever you want, Mo. Have whatever you want from that stand. Help yourself. We sat down next to these people, and I looked at the score again, and we'd lost. And then the curtains opened, and I had to watch a show, and I was just there in the back of my mind going, "We're not even going to Wembley, man. Like, what the hell? Like we were going to the Wembley, and then we just weren't, and that was it." Like,
I think the worst bit is when you get little digs. Like, I had a message from a West Brom fan, message from a Villa fan, and then one from an Arsenal fan, and all he put was, "Ouch."
Yeah. Marl's in the chat as well, my missus, and she said still love my rose because I got no rose that time. But God, what an awful memory to have, though. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's got to be Coventry.
It's not a very
to
nice
be
way
fair.
to talk about your missus.
Oh, look, I love it to pieces, don't worry. Cool. So, what else have we got? Going to forget. So, moment of the season. So it can be it can be a game, could be a goal, could be anything you can think of that happened in the season. To you, it was just that moment. It was just like, yes, this is class. Kyle.
Sick. 2 for me. Obviously, being an out-and-out striker, I love my goals.
Yes.
And it is what it is. Sarabia's goal against Spurs and Cunha's goal against Forest, just class. You know, the way Sarabia, the control he had over that ball was just, it's something you don't see very often. And it's moments like that that make you love football, because there's no other sports that require that sort of technique. And and this is why we love football. And, you know, the way he's adjusted his body and he's controlled it and he's struck it past Vicario. It was just a hell of a finish. And then Cunha's goal, obviously, Daniel spoke about it. He's run from inside his own half. He's took it down the line, didn't really know what to do with it, and he thought, actually, there's a gap there. I'm just going to do a little pivot. I'm going to turn in and I'm going to smash it as hard as I can into the top corner. Class. And then I'm just going to make out like I do it every day. So I love it, man. I absolutely, and this is what the training ground's for. You know, as a forward, you practice these, and it's rare they come off. So when you see it happen in a game, it's brilliant. We love it.
Yeah, you take your hats off to him, sort of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so hard to do, and
nice.
You know, you can be playing for years and years, and you'll score a handful of goals like that. But yeah.
Daniel?
I showed Cunha that goal a few weeks ago, actually, on an iPad, and he was his celebration after, I think he goes kind of like this, and he's a bit kind of frantic. I said, what was behind that celebration? He just said, I really didn't think the goal was going to go in like that. He was he was like, I ran obviously that far, and I was like exhausted. I cut back on the right, and I just kind of hoped it was good. And he's like, I could not believe it went in by that.
Because he sort of wrapped his foot around it, but just caught it just so sweet, and just the keeper just had no chance, didn't he?
It's weird. It was almost swerving away from the keeper, but into the goal at the same time. It was a bit like
any other time that's going wide in it, and you're like, oh, for God's sake, here we go again, sort of thing. Especially as a Wolves fan, Christ. Nice, Daniel. What about you, mate? Moment of the season.
I'm going to say something quite rogue, and this isn't for Sky promotion either, but it's actually something John mentioned earlier. But I think the amount of people who've said to me since Gary O'Neill went on M&F with Jamie Carragher, right? Wow, Gary O'Neill's very impressive. And for me, that moment kind of stood out more for him more than anything, because, you know, even you mentioned, you know, when he showed the City goal, right, and what they were working on training, he got criticised so much after that. People were saying, well, he spoke well, but why is he showing so much of his tactics? You know, Wolves are going to be found out now. What's he doing? Look at what he's done this season. I mean, so I'm picking that, but just I think more my moment is Gary O'Neill himself. The way he's dealt with, say, us in the media, the expectation with no money to really spend it all season. You know, I'm kind of mind blown, to be honest, because I don't think I've said it enough on Saturday. I probably have now, but let's not forget he took over 3 days before the season. You know, to get that team, and let's not forget it was João Gomez's first full season in the Premier League. You know, Cunha, Hwang, based off no previous goal scoring form, Totti, Nelson Semedo, Ryan Aït-Nouri, all becoming kind of class players again. I don't know how he's done it. So for me, it's just Gary O'Neill, I think.
Love that.
Nice, man. Fair play.
John, what about yourself, mate?
I'm probably going to go with Cunha's hat-trick at Chelsea.
Nice.
And I think that's just because we all knew he was a good player, but I don't think some of the other fans outside of the Wolves fan group knew how good he was. And then when he got that hat trick, you really started seeing people talking about him. You went onto Twitter, he was trending, match of the day, everyone was talking about him. It's when people started thinking, well, maybe Wolves didn't get robbed paying 44 million for him. Maybe this is a player that's actually worth more money. Maybe he's a player that's worth 60, 70 million or got the potential to be worth that much. Wolves have really got a player on their hands. And for me, it was one of the ones where I could turn to my friends and be like, I told you Cunha's good. And now you can see it. Hat-trick against Chelsea, really hard place to go and score a goal, let alone 3. And they were all really well-taken goals. Yeah, I know one was a penalty, but like everything was perfect that day. He was perfect. He smiled at the end when he was doing his interviews and stuff. I was just so happy for him. And for me, that was my moment for the club.
Yeah,
I was really happy.
Nice, John.
Nice.
Okay, can I just mention that very quickly, just before we mentioned yours? Again, I showed him his hat-trick at Chelsea a few weeks ago as well, showing him his best goal of the season. He said before the game he was FaceTiming Diego Costa, and Costa was like, Matthias, I scored 40 goals on this side of the pitch, 50 goals on that side, this is like my second home, blah, blah, blah. And then obviously he scores a hat-trick, and then messaging after, could he have just said like, oh, this is now my home, let's go to hat-trick. So yeah, he loved it. And he said, Costa was a bit, he said he was kind of happy for him. But,
That's so cool.
Brilliant.
Daniel, is he as nice in person as he is on the cameras? Because he just seems like the nicest guy, laughing and joking.
Yeah, honestly, he's very, very, very nice. I mean, I've interviewed him, I think, 3 or 4 times now. Start of last season and then 3 times throughout this season. And yeah, he's absolutely lovely. And I think also, you have to also admire, especially players who aren't from England, right? The fact they try and converse in English and they try and express themselves. And, he's absolutely good as gold, really. I mean, he's absolutely lovely. Never
maybe because of his character and stuff, and he seems like he likes to be on the camera, do you think he maybe pushes or like to do more stuff like that? Or maybe he just openly says to the club, any interviews going? Because you see, there's some Wolves players you never see interviewed. But then you always see he was always on the Premier League website and Instagram.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you'll find that most clubs, right, that you'll have 4 or 5 players, almost like a pool, right? So if you lose, you'll send out probably a captain or 1 or 2 who can just front up every time, right? But, off a good result, controversial result, you have certain players. I think the press team will really appreciate that you can just put these players up in whatever situation and they can really, represent the club. And I think Cunha is one of those people. I would also say, though, that his relationship with Gary O'Neill seems to be quite special. I mean, I remember talking to Cunha about Lopetegui, and he said, yes, the mentality Lopetegui brought to the squad, amazing. But the way he speaks about Gary O'Neill is like a dad-son type relationship. Yeah. Calling each other at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock p.m., saying, I want to come back from my injury. And then O'Neill saying, Cunha told me O'Neill was the one who was calling him saying, Matthias, I need you back. Come on, when you get me fit again. So, I mean, I said it earlier, but Cunha said it's the best relationship he's ever had with any manager. And again, I think if you rewind 2 years ago and think, Matthias Cunha, Brazil international, former Athletic Madrid, he's going to say Gary O'Neill's the best manager he's worked with. Pretty impressive.
And Lopetegui's the one who wanted him and told Fosun, that you need to buy him and stuff. So
yeah, he worked under Simeone, and it's like
fantastic. I love that. All right, nice.
Look at us, man, reminiscing on all the cute moments. We're having a nice podcast today, aren't we?
Go on, Dan. I
love it.
So far. My moment of the season. There's been quite a few, to be fair. But similar to what Kyle was saying about goal scoring, we had one moment, and I think it was just after Christmas, just beating Chelsea, Christmas Eve. And like, you just look at the amount of goals that we'd scored at that point, and it just looked like every game we played, we were scoring. Hwang Yi-chan was scoring every game at Molineux. And it was like, if we could keep this up, we're going to Europe, and oh God, how it all went to pieces. But that moment for me, and feeling like the underdog from the start, feeling all this pressure from the media, going at him anyway, and just seeing just the players, just think, you know what, Lopetegui said, we're not the best squad, whatever, we need this, that, and the other. And then for us to go out there, get the double on Chelsea, get the double on Spurs, it just, for me, like, just the season as a whole, it just made me very, very proud of the team and of the coach and the coaching staff and all the fans and the stadium, kind of. Everyone but the owners, basically. But we'll get into that. Don't worry. Lovely. Love that. I love that, guys. That's great. What about our feelings towards, and you've gone in a little bit of detail there before, Daniel, but we could still go into detail again, about our lovely manager, Gary O'Neill. What are your thoughts about Gary O'Neill, Kyle?
Oh, I love him. I think he's brilliant. He's like such a massive breath of fresh air, and I think our players, you've got to be the way Gary is with them, because otherwise you're not going to get much out of them. Yeah. And Gary's approach is just the perfect fit at the most stressful time. Like, I think if we had, how do I put it? If we had a really good manager before, like when we had Nuno.
Yeah.
And then Nuno left and Gary to come in straight away.
Yeah.
I think it would have been having a different conversation, because it's developed a lot since then. There's new players come and gone. And like Daniel said about his relationship with Cunha, like we only see half of that. Daniel will have a much better insight than we do. And then, them two individuals themselves will have the best insight. Does that make sense? So it's, we only get to see half of what Gary is actually like. So, you can already see, like, I've had a little bit of managerial experience myself, and it's not an easy job.
No.
That was only at grassroots level. He's coaching a Premier League team with not much experience, and what a fantastic job he's doing as well. There's still a lot of speculation over Gary O'Neill. There's still some people questioning on whether he's the right person for the team, and that, what I like about him is he's got his head screwed on. He'll get the most out of the players. He'll have a laugh. He's down to earth, and he'll say it how it is, and he's really transparent. I love it, and he's not a yes man, as far as I'm aware, which again is really good for the club. I think in some aspects he will go with the flow, but I think he's the type of person, if he doesn't like something, he'll say. And I think it's exactly what we need. So I absolutely love him. I want him to stay.
Nice one. Joe said Nathan Collins 2 assists against Brentford. That's his favourite moment. I love. You know what? I bet Nathan was a lovely bloke, weren't he, Daniel? Was he a nice?
Yeah, he was actually. I actually interviewed him last year. Did like a fun quiz with him and stuff. Honestly, he was lovely. I mean, he was so kind of down to it. I'm just happy to be there, and you can tell he's quite a family-oriented kid as well. And but I don't think it's quite worked out for Brentford just yet. But he's young enough; he'll turn it around, I'm sure.
Yeah, I think he's young enough to know, where his career is going. He's just got to get his head down and carry on. And he really, I don't think he's been particularly bad for Brentford. To be fair, I think
I would have liked us to keep hold of him, for a season.
Yeah, same.
But
I think
you can't turn out the money, can you?
Yeah, with PSR, we needed to get rid of him, didn't we?
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. Nice one, Carl. You done with that?
Yeah, man. Carry on.
Cool. Daniel, so you've talked about Gary O'Neill already, but to be honest, we want to know a little bit more about, obviously, what he's like when the cameras are off and everything, really.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I know I'm saying this about quite a few, but, I'm very fortunate, like Carl was saying, get to spend time with these people, before and after we sit down with them outside the presses and stuff. I mean, first of all, I admire about O'Neill, just with any coach, is let's not forget his tactics. You look at Burnley, for example, with Vincent Kompany. You look at a few other teams in the league who are very set in their ways with certain coaches or managers. I think, first of all, you have a coach in Gary O'Neill who's very adaptable. Yes, he'll have principles to how he wants to play, but he'll always adapt to whoever you're playing. So I think, first of all, that's really good. But in terms of how we deal with him in the media, I mean, first of all, I just appreciate any time I go on Friday to Compton for a press conference, I know Gary will pretty much have an opinion on anything, which I'm telling you in this job, you really appreciate, you know, whether it's about VAR or whether it's about whatever the news in the week is or anything really, you know, he has a well-educated opinion to talk about, right? So you appreciate that. But then, you know, for me, something that really stood out to me in this season, so I think it was probably after the Coventry loss, maybe a few weeks after, I can't remember which game it was, but we get to go once a month to open training, so 15 minutes open training. It's usually just me and, you know, the camera operator who I'm with. And, you know, there was this one training session where I think there were maybe 9 fit senior players, you know, outfield players training. And I'm not joking, the amount of kids who were on the training pitch, I don't even think we filmed most of them, but the amount of kids who were out there who looked like 15, 16, 17. I spoke to Gary before the training session started, and he was just like, yeah, like this is what we're doing. Like, yeah, this is a circumstance, but I don't mind. I'm like excited to work with these guys. And I think, you know, again, it's easy to say Gary's a really nice guy or he seems like a lovely fella, but let's not forget there's certain coaches, I think, who are out there in roles, right, who wouldn't be that, you know, happy to work with younger players, who would be quite reluctant to bring all these players to play with the seniors and would rather keep them separate. Whereas, you know, when I sit down with Gary, he's like, yeah, this is what we do, like, and we're happy to do it because this is how they're going to grow, and we need them right now, right? You know, the last thing I'll say is, you know, again, you look at other coaches. The January transfer window, I can imagine for you all was very frustrating. You know, all season, everyone, whether it was us, whether it was other media, Gary himself, you wanted a striker, right? Gary chose also, you know, although Breuer didn't happen on deadline day, Gary also chose not to just get any sort of striker. And he said after the United game, I could have brought someone in if we really wanted to. You know, we got offered certain strikers, forwards, and I said no because I didn't think they would help the squad. And I think that also shows that he's not willing to put the finances, put the club at risk just for the sake of bringing someone in, you know, and upsetting the balance of the squad and his own principles. So I think, you know, but yeah, I've kind of blabbed that, but those are all things that really to me.
No, you made some really good points. I actually really like that he's adaptable as well. I think that we saw that in the middle of games. Do you know what I mean? Where he's offered a piece of paper out, and all of a sudden your whole system's changed. And
Jose Sarr goes down for 5 minutes, gets his
yeah, all the time, yeah. Oh, Vermini, quick, go to the manager and say a couple of things. Yeah, sound, yeah. What we back for? Yeah, love it. Okay. Yeah, I'm all right now. I'm all right. What was that in that water? Wow, that was. Give me some more of that water, man.
But it's true though, isn't it? I mean, I can't remember what game it was, but was it Brentford or Chelsea? Was it Chelsea? I think at Molineux or
when he
went down and he brought the whole team to the side. I can't remember what game it was. But he brought the whole squad to the side.
I can't remember.
It was the Chelsea game.
It was the Chelsea game, wasn't it?
It was.
You could tell he made a few tweaks in midfield, and they changed the system slightly. I mean, like, how many other managers are doing that in terms of changing and then getting the result? I mean, it's just really impressive.
That's the other thing, though, isn't it? It's getting the results, because we've seen it work, and then we've seen it against like West Ham away, where like he couldn't find a system or anything to get anything out of the players, and that's not his fault. Like, sometimes you just have a bad day, and if that's how it is, that, you know, we're all human. We know he makes mistakes, and what I love about Gary O'Neill, and I'll bring out people like Ten Hag. I just think, like, when he's approached with a question or a query, he'll answer it. He won't go around the reeking, blah 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 blah, blaming this, blaming that. Even if it's his fault, he will say, I take responsibility for it. And the reason I bring up Ten Hag, I just think, obviously, there's a language barrier there. That's absolutely fine, you know, whatever. That can obviously cause some problems as well. But I just think sometimes, like, with him, in comparison to Gary O'Neill, it just takes ages to get his point across. And then by the time he has got his point across, it just don't feel like the question's been answered. So I feel like it's really nice to have a manager that just knows how to talk to the media as well. I think that's, and he
fronts
really
up as well, doesn't he? Like, the VAR kind of vote that will happen in a few weeks. A lot of managers could have just said, "Look, everyone's already spoke about it. The club have put out a statement. I don't need to speak about it." But he literally gave like really good answer to all of us.
Yeah, went back into it again.
Absolutely. So again, like you said, not in a horrible way, but I do a lot of Nottingham Forest press conferences with Nuno.
Yeah.
And it's quite interesting because I think he just genuinely doesn't like news conferences. When I do him one-on-one, we have 10, 15 minutes. I could sit there for an hour. Very interesting. In a press conference setting, it's a few words. You kind of go, oh.
Yeah, I think you are right. I think some people just are cut out for it, and some people aren't. And to be fair, that's it is a big part of being a manager, but it's not the main part, is it? Do you know what I mean? It's not even really the most important part, is it? But
I think it helps. I think it helps. I think when things don't go as well, I think being able to communicate, especially in the media. You mentioned Ten Hag. I would argue Chelsea, right? So Graham Potter last year, I would argue couldn't really get his thoughts and really stand up for himself and the team very well. And he lacked that maybe charisma that Pochettino had this year. And although he's left, I think the media gave Pochettino a bit of a line to ride, especially middle and start of the season, because he's so good in his press conferences, and he's so good at communicating. So you're right, it's not the biggest part, but I think when things don't go well, I think that's when you see how big of a difference it makes, maybe.
Yeah, fair. John, what about your opinion of Gary O'Neill? Then we can move on to the...
For me, he's young, he's hungry, he's exactly the kind of manager we wanted, and I think he had a massive point to prove. I think he got done dirty by Bournemouth. I think he had a really good season. I was one of the fans that actually admired him before he came to Wolves. I remember watching some of his games with Bournemouth. I think they got obliterated by Liverpool, and then he came in, and then he completely changed the way they played, and I really admired him. And then he came in to Wolves, and I was a fan that said, I'm going to give him a chance. And you can see he's a proper coach. He's someone that rolls his sleeves up, and he does a lot of his work on that training field. And you can just see that now by the numbers that some of the players are getting now. If you think about the goals and contributions you're seeing from Hwang, you're seeing from Cunha. We're not used to seeing forwards getting these kind of figures. If you think about Podence the previous season, I think his record was 5 goals in one season, and you think now, I think Cunha's close to 20 goals and assists combined. It's just crazy stats, and that's just down to the hard work that he's put in. And you think about Nori and the potential of him leaving because Lopetegui didn't like him. I don't know if it was more of his ability or his personality that he didn't like, but he didn't like him, and the chances of him leaving. And then you think about the turnaround that we've now seen under Gary O'Neill, someone that's really gave a player hope, gave player some praise, put an arm over his shoulder and really brought him back out from the shadows and brought him into a player that arguably could have been picked today as player of the season. He's been great, and he's got him firing as well. He's been providing more assists than he's ever done before. Same for Semedo. Semedo's always been a good player, but he's never quite been a full season of being the finished article, whereas Gary O'Neill has got that, and you can see that with the award he got at the end of the season. So little tweaks here and there that some managers just haven't been able to do. World-class managers, if you think about Lopetegui, if you think about the profile of Nuno when he went to Tottenham, a really highly rated manager, he couldn't get it out of some of the players, some of these, especially at the end of his coaching with Wolves, with Nuno, like some of the figures he was getting, he completely turned around the team. I think this is our highest goals we've ever scored, I think, this season. Yeah. It's just crazy stats from a coach that really hasn't got much experience, much history in the Premier League. He's definitely gone above many people's expectations.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, I think I'll just echo what everyone else has said. Basically, I think that it's just mad when you think back to that Man United game, and you just, the whole world was against us that game. I'm sorry, but my chat was just like all United fans just going, "Well, this is going to be easy," blah blah blah, and like the game started, and I was like, what is this team? Like, what is going on? If Cunha could put those goals away, by the way, the chances that he had in that game, we'd have had like a win on our belt. And I mean, we've already talked about VAR to absolute death on this podcast, and in general, haven't we, as people? But I thought we'd just I think the season's been tarnished by a couple of things, hasn't it? A couple of things: injuries and VAR and officiating. Daniel, I know you're probably sick to death of talking about it yourself, as I just said. But like, what's your opinion of the decisions that have gone, not just against Wolves, but in general this season, the standard officiating and of VAR for you?
I've had the pleasure of asking Gary O'Neill. I can't even tell you how many times this season about VAR. I think it's quite strange, isn't it? Because let's not forget as well, the first few months of this season, do you remember the very high tolerance of decision making? We saw a lot more penalties, red cards, booking for dissent or taking goal kicks, in the first 20 minutes of the game. And then that all changed within a few months, really. So for me, that was a huge issue, actually, because you had a certain amount of games that were reffed in a certain way, and then the rest of the season they were reffed in a completely different way. So I think that kind of gets forgotten a little bit. I think, there's a lot of ambiguity, and I actually agree with Gary O'Neill with one side of it in terms of when referees go to the monitor. For me, it's incredibly infuriating. I think it was the Women's World Cup where they used VAR on the screens, and the refs who are on the pitch, when they go to the screen, they're making that independent decision if they think there's a penalty or a red card. And I think Gary O'Neill's point is that when the ref goes to the screen in England in the Premier League, they're being recommended a decision in their ear by someone this is probably a red card, you just need to confirm it. And that is fundamentally, I think, a huge issue, because you're taking all the power out of the ref's decision. And how many refs are going to overturn the VAR's recommendation, right? So for me, that is the huge issue. Hopefully next season, automated offsides, I think, will clear up a lot of things. But for me, I know we could talk about the Sheffield United game, the Newcastle game with the VAR. For me, the Fulham game was one that doesn't really get mentioned enough. Tim could have easily been sent off.
Yeah, we were talking about that yesterday, me and Kyle.
Yeah, like the elbow as well. I can't remember who got elbowed by. Was it by Jimenez or Vinicius?
Vinicius headbutted killed him.
Yeah. And then two of the goals probably shouldn't have counted, and that was huge, in terms of the season then. And I remember Gary O'Neill saying after that game, it's him and the team who then get seen by people like me for the next game going, oh, Wolves are now 1 win in 4. And that's eventually what happened. I don't think you won the next few games after that either. So it's frustrating. It's frustrating for us in the media as well, because it's the last thing you want to ask all the managers about every single week. This vote is obviously coming in a few weeks. I don't think anyone expects it to pass, but if it brings it up again and more people, people like me are asking more players about it every week, maybe there's more of a change. But you can't see VAR leaving the game, can you? And I empathise with all of you as well, because at least we get screens in the press box and stuff like that, and we can see the replays. Yeah. When you're in the stands, I mean, I go to games as a fan as well. You get nothing, right? It's not like rugby and that again is a huge issue. So yeah, it's not great, is it? But hopefully.
No, I think the communication in general when there's a VAR decision is absolutely just poor. It's just sometimes it's laughable how bad like some of the decisions are, how long it takes, the communication between fans, the whole experience of being a fan. You can't celebrate goals anymore. You can't.
Yeah, because your first thought is it going to be called off?
Exactly. Yeah. Right. The last game of the season, we scored a goal, and we were all just going woo against Palace. We go woo until they were like, yeah, it's a goal. It's like, yeah, boring, and it is. It's just you can see why people are not even renewing the season tickets because of the VAR. And that's before we've even spoke about our ownership and everything. Obviously, we'll talk about that at the end and everything. But yeah, I just thought I'd talk about how you feel about VAR, obviously, because you're really under the
absolutely. I think the last thing I'll just say about it really quickly is I kind of still wonder, and I thought this when VAR first came in, will it evolve eventually into a maybe challenge system, that we see in the NFL, cricket, tennis, where, maybe a manager has 2 challenges a half or something, where you don't review every single incident and there's constant reviews every minute of the game. Manager throws a flag or something, that incident gets reviewed. If it's not correct, they lose it, or something like that, just so, like what you said there, Dan, actually, once say they're out of challenges or they don't, you can just enjoy the goal. Like, there's nothing going to stop that goal and celebrating. Because I think that, like you said, is a huge thing you miss. I was there for the Coventry Manchester United game, right, semi-final. Was it Ellis Sims scores that goal, right?
Yeah.
Well, okay, it was offside. It looked a lot more offside in person than it did on the screens. But you just think, like, everyone's
would that have been disallowed without VAR? I think that's the question, isn't it?
That's the point, right? Is that
the margins?
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll see that as
just want to ask. Sorry, Dan.
No.
I just want to ask a question for you, Daniel. Actually, going back to what you were saying on the VAR recommending the referee to review an incident, is that not against the rules? Because in the rule book, we did like a bit of a VAR podcast live way back when, and I deep dived into it. And is it actually illegal for VAR to recommend the referee to have a look and overturn the decision? Because I thought it was solely the referee who had to then recommend the review. Am I wrong on that?
No, so I think when you look at the screens, I mean, so the VARs are always reviewing controversial incidents and stuff that seem to be, what's the phrase? Whatever.
Clear and obvious.
Clear and obvious, sorry. So clear and obvious mistake. So anytime there's an incident, and you would have seen some of those VAR programs that Howard Webb does and stuff like that. So anytime there's a clear and obvious potential mistake, VARs will be reviewing it, and then they'll be telling the ref, we need to stop the game. The ref will stop all the way till the ball goes out next. And that's where they'll tell the ref, we think this is clear and obvious. You need to go to the screen. So I think that's where you're right in terms of the word-for-word wording is a bit confusing as well. But I think that's where the ambiguity is, because I think there was one decision in a game towards the end of the season. I can't remember what the game was. But the referee did actually go, maybe it was Anthony Taylor, said, no, I agree with my decision. We're not. But I mean, I can only think that happened 2 or 3 times this season where the ref said, I'm not overturning the decision. I'm sticking with mine.
That should, in my opinion, and I think Carl's, and probably John's as well, that should be how it is. The referee should have the final call. It shouldn't be down to slowing the game down, and it shouldn't be like that. Like if it's something that is missed and it's absolute howler of an error, then fair play. But if it's a toe offside, are we really bothered? Even if it's the goal against you, like I'm not even bothered.
I think the problem is though, a howler is quite subjective, isn't it? So for example, I don't know if you saw Newcastle against Manchester United towards the end of the season. Anthony Gordon, I thought it was a stone cold penalty. He gets absolutely.
I thought it was as well.
Clipped on his legs, and the referee's not recommended to go to the screen for that. And for me, that is a howler. I imagine you've all played football at some point in your life.
Yeah.
You get clipped like that when you're running full pace. It's a clear penalty.
We've had penalties against us, exactly the same kind of action.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the problem is howler is even quite subjective to different people clearly as well. So it is, and I think what you said there, Dan, that's Gary O'Neill's point as well, is that the referees should be the ones making the decisions. I think PGMO will have an idea around the referees maybe will communicate after they make a decision to the fans. Again, I think this happened in the Women's World Cup where the referees had a mic, told everyone, this is my decision, this is why. So hopefully that will help. But I do think VAR in 5 years' time will be very different to maybe what we have now. So
I hope so, yeah.
It's one of them, isn't it? Like with VAR, it should be done by now. It should be fine. And the game should be moving forward the way it needs to. And this is why I'm now on the fence with VAR. I think I was all for it when it first came in, and I was just there like, yeah, let's do it. Let's try it. Why not? Because refs are still getting things wrong.
Yeah.
But now the refs haven't got a backbone. And you know, at least the ref before could tell a player why. They can't even do that anymore. So we're now taking steps backwards with VAR. But yeah, it's
There's no
one of them, and
consistency.
it's horrible.
That's the biggest frustration. There's just no consistency. One thing can happen 1 week to your team, and then the next week it happens to another team, and it's a different decision. So it's just the consistency.
Yeah, my last question about that, and we'll go straight over to the game then. Sorry, Daniel, I don't want to talk about VAR too much, but I have got a really important question here. Obviously, a lot of people want different things to happen going forward with VAR and decisions in general, and referees in general. And that's where my question lies, really. What would your opinion be about after games, people like yourself can talk to referees? Do you think that would help the game, being able to talk to the officials?
It's a good question. Probably need to think about it slightly more. I think the problem is, it's a bit what Kyle said there, right? I think it actually goes to a further issue I think is in just football compared to other sports is there enough respect for referees in general? You know, I don't think there maybe is. So when you add more referees to VAR and more VAR officials, it complicates something that there's not, you know, you compare players and athletes' behavior in tennis or rugby, how they interact with the referees. It's very, very different in football, isn't it? And even in I'm not even talking about Premier League, I'm talking about grassroots, all levels of football. Carl, you all know you mentioned grassroots, right?
Yeah.
Our relationship with the referees is very different, and I don't think it puts them in a great position anyway. Would it help fine-tune referees after? I don't really think so, because again, what can they say if VAR are the ones looking at the replays? They've only seen certain replays potentially. I don't think it'll help that much, I have to say. I mean, we kind of saw with Clattenburg. I know that was a different case, but you know, Mark Clattenburg did a few interviews after Forest games to give his opinion. Did that help? Probably not. I think that murked the waters further.
I think the issue is just the fact that they just feel so protected. Like they make an absolute ridiculous decision that they even agree to themselves it's a ridiculous decision. You know, we get flowers sent to Gary O'Neill and all this, but they don't actually come out and say, you know, what happened. I know that there's the whole mic'd up thing, but they've got so much time there to figure out what they're going to say.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think the mic'd up thing initially was a good idea, but actually now, you know, hearing about an incident 3 weeks later doesn't give anyone any satisfaction, does it? No. I think actually answering your question though, if referees in real time are mic'd up and after their decisions are able to say no penalty or penalty, there was contact here, or whatever. Like I said, in the Women's World Cup was a great example, right, of it being used really well. I think that answers a lot of the questions, and actually after the fans, reporters, media, for all that, okay, simple.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
I think that'll make a lot of people much more happy. You know, you won't leave a game going, why was
communication? It's communication.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that. I think they need to be mic'd up. And I think the people at Stockley Park also need to be mic'd up, just so people around the stadium and listening live on TV can watch it and actually see what's going on and try and understand something at least. A lot of fans would learn a lot more about the game as well.
Yeah, and you won't be leaving a game either, will you? You won't be leaving going, you know, what happened.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And we're you know, me and Dan are teachers, so we could actually use a lot of that in when we're teaching sports and PE and you know, right up to GCSE. You can use bits what referees have said for educational purposes. So I think it's got its major benefits as well from that perspective.
Nice one. Guys, I just want to say, just before we carry on into the tier list that you can see here, there's 813 of you here right now. That's absolutely awesome. Please, if you can, get involved in the comments, say what you need to say. Obviously, we're going to talk about Fosun after this in just a minute. And obviously, that's an important topic at the moment between our owners and the club. I did just go on the trust meeting. I just had a meeting with the trust and can't say anything that happened in it, but obviously it's not looking good, if I'm honest. And that really just results in going over to that QR code over there, scanning it, heading over to the petition page. We've also linked it as well. If anyone else can link it in the chat, that'd be great. And get involved, because we need more and more signatures. And This isn't going away at the moment, guys. And the more people get involved, the more, there's something might happen and something might change. So, yeah, thought to say that first of all. But anyway, this is the end of the season game that everyone does this, and I always think, oh man, that'd be so good to do. So I thought, you know what, we're going to do it. We're by no more. We're not the pioneers of this, by the way. I've seen this on so many different channels, but I just love it. It's the keep, loan, sell game. So we're going to go over, and everyone's going to tell me whether they want to keep, loan, or sell a player, and then based on how many people say it, I think we'll just come up with a decision and pop him in wherever we think it needs to be. So
are we doing this as a collective? Yeah,
as a collective.
Sound.
So
let's go team.
So I'll go me. It'll go me, Kyle, John, and then Daniel, because that's how it's lined up on the chat.
Nice.
I don't know why. So Jose Sarr, for me, I think keep, just because I don't think there's much quality out there at the moment in terms of someone you 100% know is going to be your number one. But I can see a reason for the other ones as well. So what do you think, Kyle?
Sell him. Get Ramsdale in.
Sell. He loves Ramsdale.
I think
sell him.
Sell as well, yeah, okay. Yeah. Daniel?
I was going to say keep, only because I think they're bigger priorities in the window. So if you only have a set amount of money, I'd prioritise other. In the next few years, absolutely. But I think for now, keep.
Keep. Okay, so two of us have said keep. Two of us have said loan. I'm going to put keep for now. If this changes in the comments, then we'll move him around. Dan Bentley, I'm going to say sell. I'm not going to lie. I just haven't seen enough from him when he's been called up, and I do like him in the changing room, to be fair, but I just feel like there needs to be another understudy. Maybe someone a bit younger who's a better sweeper keeper for me. So I'm going to say sell. What do you think, Carl?
I'd actually like to see Bentley loaned out. I think game time's really important for him.
Cool.
One, for his confidence, and two, for his progression. So I'd loan him.
John?
I'd keep him. I'd make him third choice. Bring in someone else, either to replace Sarr or to come in as second. But I'd keep him as a third choice because he's English, homegrown. We haven't got much room in the squad, so it makes sense. We have to have a third keeper anyway, and he's quite good in the dressing room. So I'd keep him, but I'd just make him third choice.
Cool. Daniel?
I'd just echo what John said. I think for me, they're bigger priorities in the squad, so I'd keep him for now. But like you said, bring in an understudy to maybe challenge that.
Cool. All right, that's a keep. King, do you think? I'm saying. I mean, for the English quota, I think having a third goalkeeper who's English is probably going to only really help us, isn't it? To be fair, I don't think it's like Daniel said, we're probably not going to get anyone else in to be a third goalkeeper, really, other than probably someone from who's on loan or something. But I think Molden's on his way out, so I'm going to say keep.
Yeah.
What do you?
Echo that. I'll keep him.
I'd loan him because I think he's not going to. I think Bentley will be third choice, so he's either sell or loan. I'd probably loan him out just so we've got someone as a backup in case anyone gets injured. We could bring him back maybe in a release clause or something if, I don't know, Bentley gets injured or something happens.
Nice, Daniel.
Yeah, I was going with John's logic as well, so I'd go with the loan as well.
Cool. So we got a keep and loan. I'm actually gonna loan him out.
Go on,
loan him out. Yeah. Nelson Semedo. That's just a straight out keep, innit? Surely.
Yeah.
We even have to question it.
Yeah, it's definitely keep unless Saudi come in with something absolutely mind blowing.
Yeah.
Because Ben Jacobs, who's quite a big journalist, did say that Saudis like him, so I'd keep him. But if you get him money that you can't refute, that big amount from the Saudis.
Yeah. What do you think then, Daniel?
Yeah,
Did you say keep? Sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah, wicked, cool. All right, your favourite, John? I think we keep Dawson. To be honest, I think he's got another couple of seasons in him. It's just his injury record for me, but he's such a miss for us when he went out and when he was injured. Obviously, he's not going to be around for much of the pre-season as well, but I think just because of his leadership qualities, I think he's just such a good buy. It was probably one of our best buys, to be honest. Kyle, what do you think? I
completely agree. Yeah, I think his leadership quality is something we need around the club. So yeah, I'm keeping him as well.
Yeah, John.
You already know my answer. 100% keep him. Homegrown as well.
Class.
Love it.
Daniel.
Yeah, absolutely agree. I think, like you said, also he's a great mentor for some of those younger defenders like Totsy. Mascara comes back. We'll talk about him in a minute, but he's a great role model, isn't
he? Matt Dock. I actually like what Matt Dock did this season. I think I actually thought about this the other day. If we didn't buy him, we'd have been in some trouble, because his side at one point was really suspect. And when he come on, especially a couple of times in the tail end of the season, I think he offered a little bit going forward, and I don't know. I just think I just think because he's so in the end of his career sort of thing, I think we just keep him because he was such a servant for the club as well. Even if he ends his career at Wolves, that's a legend in my opinion. Just based on how long he's been with us.
I think
Kyle?
he's destined to end his career with us. Keep him.
Yeah,
I love him. I think he's great going forward, and he actually does still give that little bit of life off the bench. So yeah, I like him. Keep him.
Yeah.
I think keep him. I think there's some harsh criticism, not from us guys, but from other people I've heard from social media. And I just think back into the season, he's got fitter and fitter. You've got to remember he was pretty much sat on the bench, polishing the bench of his arse at Madrid, and he's pretty much come back now. And you can see the back end of the season, he's getting a lot fitter under Gary O'Neill. And yeah, I think he's a good player.
4 yeses, Daniel. We're playing X Factor now, or whatever it is.
Yeah, it's a yes. And also, I don't think you can underestimate having someone who gets the club, gets the city. You need a few players like that in the squad, and Doherty's obviously somebody.
Definitely. I think that's what he offered when he came in. He just knew the club inside out, didn't he? He knew all the staff and whatever, and he was just like, "Bosh, I'm gonna get my boots and I'm just gonna jump on the training pitch." Love that. Oh, this is gonna be a dodgy one. This. Oh, okay. I do a lot of match reviews, Daniel. I do a lot, and anyone who's watching this video is going to know that Kilman for me has been pretty bad at being both our leader with the captain's armband, and sometimes his positional skills have been very lackluster. I actually think while the price is high for Kilman, like we saw Napoli come in, big offer, 30 million. If something else comes in like that for me, he's got to go for me, especially if we're trying to sell assets and get some players in. So for me, he's a sell, but I can understand why people might want to keep him as well.
Yeah, I'm on the fence with Kilman. I think, like you say, if we get a big offer in, cash in from him while we can, because I don't think if he has another season like he's had this season, I think his price could literally half for what it is now. So it'd be a sell for me.
Yeah, I echo what you boys say. It's 50-50 really. I think it all depends on the offer. I think at the moment we keep him, so I put him in that criteria. But I think same with Semedo, if you get an offer that you can't refuse, then you'd sell him because he's pure profit. He's reaching the age point now where he's kind of hitting that age where you're going to get top money, but maybe in a year's time or two that will drop down because of his age. So yeah, he's getting that peak age now, and we've been there before with Traore and stuff where we should have sold when we didn't, and we lose value. So yeah,
exactly.
I'd keep him, but if we've got a big offer, he's got to go.
Depends what happens with Mascara as well. Like we've mentioned on other podcasts, and like Daniel mentioned, if Mascara comes back, I think he's going to give Kilman a run for his money.
Yeah.
He's been awesome, Mascara.
Daniel, what do you think, mate?
I think because of Mascara, in a way, I would actually keep Kilman just for this season and hope that he finds a bit of form. Maybe cash in next summer, but you also give time to someone like Mascara to learn under him and Dawson just for a season. And then hopefully you have ready-made replacements for a Dawson or a Kilman next season, or the season after. If not.
Yeah, nice. And obviously we're not under any pressure to sell, are we, this season? So I suppose it's one of them really. It's kind of like a double-edged sword. You kind of want to sell players because we need more depth. but you don't want to get rid of players that have done well for us.
And it's always about who replaces them, right? I mean, Mosquera's been really good in Spain, but there's no guarantee he comes back. If he does come back, properly, is really solid in the league,
Yeah, so I was sell. Carl, was you keep?
I was sell for Kilman.
Sell. John, you was keep, weren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, and Daniel, you was keep, weren't you?
I was keep, yeah.
Cool. All right. We'll keep him, but he's gone next season. I'm just kidding.
This
nice.
time next year.
All right. So next, Santi Bueno. You know what John was saying earlier about Santi Bueno. I'm gonna disagree. I think I've seen some good signs of Santi Bueno. The game against Brighton, the FA Cup game, I thought he was absolutely awesome. So if he can have more games like that, and as a squad player as well, because we have no centre backs. It's like having Nuno back. So in my opinion, we've been after a centre back, and he's an international. It's his first season. We've already been talking about some players that have surprised us based on their last season performance and now their season now. So for me, I'm going to keep him, but I can understand if everyone wants to get rid of him as well.
Nah, I'm keeping him. I quite like him as well. I think
big lump as well, isn't
John's talking out his... No, I'm joking. I respect your opinion, John. And obviously, we have seen some downsides to him, but I think he's just one of them. He needs a little bit more game time and needs that little bit of trust to improve. So, nah, keep him for me.
Yeah, so I'd keep him. I just don't think he's a starting player at the moment.
Squad player.
Fair point.
I think he's a squad player. I think the reason I was disappointed is the fact that I thought, when I looked at him when he first came in, I was excited about maybe a player that could help us go into the back four, or could be a player that you could comfortably be in starting lineups. But I just don't see that with him at the moment. I can see him being a player that can come in for the odd game here or two if someone gets injured. But I just wouldn't be comfortable to see him starting, I don't know, a run of games every game in the back four or the back five. But yeah, I'd keep him.
Cool. All right, Daniel, what do you think of Santi Bueno?
Yeah, I mean, I actually agree with you, Dan, in a way about Bueno. That it took him a long time to actually play, right? So,
injury,
and I thought actually for the first run of games, I actually didn't think, if you hadn't watched Bulls all season, I don't think he was that much of an outlier almost, which in a way is a compliment. I didn't think he looked that out of his depth. But I think, I totally appreciate what John said. I think you just hope he takes a leap next season, and he obviously gets a full preseason. He's adapted, like Carl was saying, to the league, and he kind of improves in all areas. But yeah, definitely keep him now.
Yeah, nice one. John is on X, and he said, "Why would you loan Tom King? He's obviously been brought in for the dressing room and English nationality purposes. Loan Bentley, if anything." I think we said.
I agree.
I
said loan Bentley instead.
I think we said that Bentley was a better third choice, and we're probably thinking about getting an understudy instead of our second goalkeeper. I think that was kind of where we were going. I think that was what we were saying.
Is there much value as well owning Bentley at third seed as well? I mean, he's not kind of a young player who's needing games, is he? I don't think.
And I think Tom King would have a good season in a league
exactly that, yeah, somewhere, which would do him good, I think.
Yeah, definitely, and he can score a goal from it's the same box as well. So I mean, if anyone wants to in non-league, that would be great. All right, nice. Sativa said keep Santi, reassess next season. I think, yeah, nice one, Sativa. Yeah, get involved, guys. We want to hear what you're thinking about these players as well. Obviously, you can see them already on the chart. We'll move them around if it's something that we'll get VAR involved and see if there's a clear and obvious error, as Daniel knows all about. Cool. I'm gonna say we're gonna say keep then for now, just to assess. Yeah. All right. Toti Gomez, in my opinion, right? I love Toti Gomez, mate. I do. And in the one game, I can't remember what game it was, he scored in it. What game was that? He scored in it, and then just before that, he was literally in the striker position, ready for a cross. I can't remember what game it was, but just the idea of having a defender with that sort of mindset who's just going to go at you, that's just awesome for me. And I think, to be honest, he's not
What
awful.
game was that?
He's not awful. He's not awful at all, and he's an international. You know, he was cheap. I think we see him for another season, see what he's got, and then obviously go on what we think next time.
It was in the Villa game.
Was it the Villa game?
I
Luton.
thought it was.
Ellie says Luton. Well done, Ellie. Nice
Was it
one.
Luton?
Good
I
job,
thought it
Ellie.
was the Villa game.
Yeah. No, it was definitely Luton. I was there. I remember.
Was it? Okay,
Yeah,
fair.
yeah. Cool. Kyle?
Keep him all day long. I think he's
Wow.
one of our best centre-backs as
Yeah.
it stands at the moment. Keep him.
John?
Yeah, I'd definitely keep him. I think he's great, and I think he's got.
Just gonna go and get a drink.
Yeah, carry on, Kyle. Nice one. Daniel, Totty go.
Yeah, not much more to add really. Just definitely keep solid.
Yeah. Seems like a nice bloke as well, to be fair. Totty go.
He's a very
Seems
nice
like-
bloke to be fair. Very just chilled out and good chat.
See,
Definitely.
to be honest, he seems like he likes a bit of a party, which I love that about him. To be fair, someone else who likes a party, not really, is Ryan Aït-Nouri, who has been probably one of the surprises for me this season. There was one part of this season where we lacked someone up front who had some bite, who could get us up front with Neto going out, Cunha going out, Juan going out, and Sarabia looking like more of a 10. And for me, playing Aït-Nouri further forward was a bit of a masterstroke on Gary's part. First of all, he probably didn't have much choice, but I just think he carried us in that part of the season. He scored a goal against Fulham, and I think he got an assist as well. In games where really we needed to win. I think Aït-Nouri's been one of our best players this season, and it is a keep 100%.
Yeah,
Kyle.
agree. Keep him all day long. His quality, so entertaining to watch as well. But as a fan, watching live at home, watching the stadium, you look at him and you go, go on. Do you know what I mean? He's that sort of player who gets you going, and he's a really good player in transition from defence to attack as well. So yeah, keep him.
John.
Yeah, I'm going to say definitely keep. I think we saw him this season as well, almost get into a left winger position. Just shows how versatile he is and how rare that is. And he offers just tributes to his game that many other left backs don't offer. He's just so attacking, and you can see in some games as well he's really good defensively. So yeah, he's a great player. Definitely got to keep him.
Daniel.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, also he now feels like a player with his potential could be. Like who knows now? Could he be? I'm not saying he's going to go to the levels of, but a Gareth Bale type transition, right, from a left back to a potential left winger who can add goals and assists. Absolutely key.
Yeah, and I think that's what's going to happen as well. I think that's what Gary Neville's going to see is that he's got some ability going forward, and he can play that kind of role. Nice one. Nearly 900 of you here, guys. Get involved as much as you possibly can. We're going through all these players. Keep loaning, sell. There's going to be loads of people going, what the hell are you doing? But whatever, it's our own opinion. Your opinion will be obviously different. That's what we love about football. We've all got different opinions. Hugo Bueno, I am going to say, oh God, that's a hard one, innit? Because he was my flop of the season, and I just feel bad for the kid, man. He just had a new contract. I either say keep or loan. Depending on who we get in as well. If we get someone else in, a loan might do him some good, to be fair, because he might not even get in the team much next season.
I think a loan as well.
Loan, yeah.
Yeah, I think loan him. But you got to look and then go, do you have the option to recall him? Because if something drastic happens to Aït-Nouri, touch wood, God forbid it doesn't. But if it does, you've got to bring him back, because he's a decent backup when he wants to be, and he has proved himself in a way that he can get up there and he can make a bit of a difference. Obviously, he's not on the level that Ait-Nouri is yet. That's not saying he never will be, but I think a loan move would be
He could be
very handy
in the
for him.
championship, couldn't he? In the championship, imagine him. He'd be like.
I think he'd be all right.
Yeah, I think he'd be a star player, man, for a team.
I think he'd be all right.
John, what do you think?
Yeah, I probably would say loan. I'd hope if we loaned him there, they would get someone in to replace him. I know Doherty can kind of play on the left as an emergency backup, but I think we would need to get someone in to replace him.
Danyal?
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think it was as you said, a loan to potentially a Leeds or something. I think that would kind of fit Hugo Bueno quite well. Get a full season of playing football behind him, and another one as well. But yeah, I think so. And I think also a left back is, a backup left back is probably within budget and quite easy to sort. I think, in terms of options.
Nice one. Mario Lemina, sell 100%. I'm joking, man.
Yeah.
What a legend. I love this guy. I love this guy, man. I'm just saying keep straight away. What a legend. Could even be captain for me.
I was literally about to say that.
It just seems a bit of a poster boy now for the club. We've seen how he is with with different kids with disabilities and different things like that. And I just feel like he's just that really nice guy, isn't he? And it's weird, isn't it? Because Lemina didn't really have that sort of trait about him from when he was in the Premier League before. But he just seems to have really settled down and grown up and everything. And I think he's a great player, man. Especially next to Joe Gomez, he just makes every game tick. Obviously, with what happened with his father as well, to be able to even think about putting a Wolves shirt on again after that. It's just admirable. I lost my dad when I was 14 and everything, and I would not be able to just carry on the way he did under all the spotlight of football. I just think that's really admirable from him, and I love him, man. I'm keeping him. Don't even care what you lot say.
I agree. Keep him, make him captain next season.
Yeah,
that'll be for me.
Nice. All right. Boubacar Traore. You know what? He had a bit of a season where he didn't play a game, and then all of a sudden, he had a few games where he looked so good, and you could just tell Gary O'Neill was looking at him going, "All right, nice. I've got some competition here for Doyle," and then he just had a couple of games at the end of the season where you saw, okay, maybe you're not quite ready yet. So Boubacar Traore for me. Oh God, that's hard again. That is. Depending on Joe Gomez, if Joe Gomez goes, we've got to keep him. He's young enough to have a loan. He's shown good spells. I don't know, man. I actually don't know. He was good against Arsenal. Yeah, Joe says he was good against Arsenal. Come back to me. I don't know, John. I don't know. Kyle, what do you think?
I like Boobs and Traore. Yeah, keep him. Keep him. I think he's ruthless, man. He's class. He gets stuck in. He's a good squad player again. Someone to bring up off the bench, liven up your midfield a little bit. Midfield you run the most in the game, so you're naturally going to get tired. And I think having players like Boubacar who can come on and put himself about a little bit, get stuck in. We've seen that this season. I like him. Keep him for me.
John.
I'm going to say definitely keep. However, I do think if they do decide to get a new midfielder, it'd probably be the one that I would loan out. Because I think he's that one, he's at that threshold. I think he's completely fine and we keep him. Because I think he offers something different. But I think if we've got someone new in, you never know, then he'd probably be the one I'd loan out. But he's definitely a player I'd like to keep at Wolves. Even if he got loaned out, I'd like to see him come back at some point. But yeah, I would say keep at the moment in time.
Yeah, Joe says he needs games, which is fair. Daniel, what do you think? Boubacar Traore?
Yeah, I'd keep him. Similar to what Kyle was saying, I think he has all the attributes, doesn't he? And I think it's easy to forget. I think in certain bits this season he had a few niggles, a few injuries, so he wasn't always available as well. So I think there's enough there where you hope he has a bit of a leap next year. And again, a full pre-season, I think will do him a world of good. So definitely keep him another season then assess, I think.
Nice one. So we'll keep him then. I'm glad you said that because I literally couldn't decide. Cool. Bellegarde, I'm not sure about Bellegarde. You know what? If he's in his normal position, like we saw against Liverpool, I actually think he's a class player. I thought he was really good against Man City as well before the red card. I actually think there's a player there, and I don't think we're going to have too many versatile winger / tens either. I think there's another one that I actually want to get rid of that's similar to him. So, in my opinion, I keep Bellegarde because I know another player I want to get rid of is in a similar sort of position.
Yeah, I am keeping Bellegarde. He's a bit like, for me, he's a bit like an onion going off. You peel off that outer layer, and he's all right. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's fine again. You can use him in your spag bol. Do you know what I mean? And he's for me, if you peel off his little bad traits, he's a hell of a player, and you can use him in your team. Just like I'd use my onions in a spag bol. So yeah, keep him.
I love that. John, what do you think?
Yeah, I definitely keep him. I think there's he's a player there, and I think with proper coaching and everything, we can see the best of him next season.
Danyal?
Yeah, likewise to what I said with Traore. I think you hope he takes a leap next year, and similar to what Kyle was saying, smooth out those edges. There's a player there, isn't that? A decent Premier League player, I think, whether he plays every week or not.
Nice.
Joe's just said, by the way, he's not used to the league yet, which I could probably agree with that.
We've said that a few times, though, haven't we, about players that like last season. So I think you give them a run next season, see how they get on.
Can't remember as well. It's the hardest league in the world to play in, so you got to cut them some slack, ain't you?
There was enough there as well, wasn't there? That he's shown.
Yeah. Gimme a ginger from City. His name is Tommy Doyle and he plays for the Wolves. I am keeping this guy. I think he's awesome. I just think the transition of losing Matheus Nunes, you know, and seeing what he can give us in terms of Tommy Doyle for $4.5 million or whatever we paid for him is just an absolute steal from City. And I feel like some part of City is going, ugh, I wish we didn't do that now, because we've seen Matheus Nunes up for sale, so it's obviously not worked out too well. What do you think, Kyle?
Could not agree more, my friend. Keep him all day long. I love him.
Keeping him, yeah.
Great little player.
Cool. All right. Nice. John?
Yeah, definitely keep him. Bargain player. Great season with us. Great first season. The player that I think is at the right age now to really just keep improving. So definitely keep him. The only thing is now I'm worried about what you're going to do about the rest of the players if we decide to keep, because we ain't got much room now.
There'll be some. There's loads of room, by the way. That keep goes on forever, and the loan.
Oh, does it? Oh, okay.
Yeah. Don't you worry.
It's not like overlap.
Nah, it doesn't just end.
So have to sell the rest, aren't we?
Yeah, that's it. Sorted. Nice one, Jads.
Cheers, lads. Thanks for coming.
All right, cool. João Gomez, obviously an asset at the moment that a lot of teams are looking at. A big offer comes in for João Gomez. I think out of Aït-Nouri, Neto, I probably want to keep him just because of how young he is, and I don't think we've seen his ceiling yet. I think we can get a lot more money for him with one more season under his belt. So I'd keep him.
I think keep him as well. I think as that little pit bull in midfield, he's brilliant. And I think he just needs to stay calm this season now. Stay calm. Be the best you can possibly be. Look at your big move next season. And just stay level-headed would be my advice to João
Daniel's
Gomez.
Daniel's got an answer for us here. I can tell he's like riddling around. He's waiting, man. He's got something cooking here.
We have to keep on.
All right, John, go on.
Yeah, unbelievable player. Definitely keep him. As you guys say, I think he's just got more and more to give. He's just going to develop. He's so young. He's going to get international experience, and he's going to have some great players around him when he goes out and plays those games for South America. and I just think he's going to get better and better and better. So I would keep him, because I think there's a difference now from him being maybe valued at 60 million, where I think he could be one of those players that could be even higher than that, 70, 80.
Yeah. You look at Caicedo, like, I just think that's the kind of like sell I think for him, like this like big money sell that's going to really, really allow us to do well in the transfer. And I just think one more season, please, of João Gomez winning the ball. I just think he just does that better than anyone. I don't know anyone who wins the ball better than João Gomez. The way he wraps his leg round, yeah, that's my ball, thanks. He's class. Daniel, you've got something cooking here. What are you?
Well, no. So I guess I'm slightly more detached from it. I mean, I love him, right? And I think he's such a good player, and what he's done this season is amazing. I think my only logic here to say so, and I know I've already lost the vote, but what is Pedro Neto's value? This is how I'm looking at it. After 2 hamstring injuries this season, we all know what the situation is. Wolves have to sell someone this summer, right, to bring in more players. Are you going to get as much money after Pedro Neto? There's a lot of factors there. If Neto ends up having a good Euros, maybe his value goes back up. He's the most expensive asset. You sell him, fine. But if that ends up being João Gomez, say he has a good... I don't know. I can't remember if he's in the Brazilian squad for the Copa America or not.
Yeah, I think
he's in the Copa America.
Yeah, isn't he? I thought so. So if he has a good Copa America, as you were saying, John, but even this summer, his value could go up immensely, because people, like I said, will pay for potential, right? And actually, as good as he's been this season, would I trust Gary O'Neill and Wolves to bring in someone to replace him in some sort of way? Maybe not everything, but I actually think in a way he is almost a bit more replaceable. So for me, he'd be one I'd look to sell potentially. Like I said, with all those factors in there, because I'm just not sure, depending on Neto, if it means you get more money to buy more players. Maybe
we can move these players around. So we'll see at the end. We'll probably throw them around, sell everybody. It's all good. We've got to think about the assets. Like we've already been told about that this season. We've got to think about assets. And for me, if I'm going to sell anyone, it's going to be Kilman, and then it's going to be. I really want to keep out Nori. I think Neto, when on his day, is just unreal. But I think it's Kilman, Neto, João Gomez, Nori for me. That's my order in which I'm reluctant to sell the last ones. That's kind of how I'm thinking about it. So I say keep for now, because a lot of us said keep, but I do understand your points, Daniel. I actually do what you're trying to say. Pedro Neto. So for me, I'm going to say it. I am actually going to sell Pedro Neto, because I think he is a player that gets in any team, and I think he's just not right for Wolves, because he'll be really good in a team with a big squad, where he can get a little bit of game time here and there, build up game time. Wolves is just not the team for him, because you just play him over and over and over again, and he just gets injured all the time, and it's because we're overplaying him. And I don't blame us for doing it. I just think in another team like Arsenal or something, where like you've got him, Saka, Martinelli, and you can weave him around a bit. I think he'd just be such a good player, man, for them. So for me, sell.
I am unfortunately going to agree. I think if we get rid of one person this summer, one of our big assets is probably going to be Pedro. And I will miss him, because he's a bit like how I used to play. And yeah, I miss him. He's quick. He's electric when he gets on the ball, and the chances and goals and whatever he creates is just, he's only getting better still. The big one for me is how many times he's injured. Can we afford to keep hold of him, considering how much he's worth? Probably not yet. And I think, like you said, going into a squad with a bit more depth would really suit Pedro. So it would be, unfortunately, a sell for me as well.
John?
Due to his injuries, he's definitely a luxury player, and I don't think Wolves as a club can have luxury players. And I think that's why I would sell him. I think a team like PSG that may have a load of money to spend after Mbappe goes. He's the kind of player that they could get there. Arsenal, Man United, they're going to have room there for rotation, and I think with rotation you can have a luxury player like that, and you could probably get Neto playing more games, because if we were in a position where we could sub him off after 70 minutes or say, you know what, the game on the weekend, we'll give Neto a rest and we'll play another winger, that's the kind of club he needs to go to. And I think someone will pay top money for him. I'm pretty sure he will go to the Euros. Well, he's going to the Euros, but I'm pretty sure he'll have a good Euros, and I think he will be a player on the market that a lot of clubs want. And I think we can't turn down that money, because we can't have a luxury player that gets injured all the time.
Daniel, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, similar to what I was saying for João Gomez, I think, it's really dependent on, definitely sell, because you have to sell someone to bring in more players. And similar to what John was saying, you just hope that after his 2 hamstring injuries, his value's probably dipped a little bit, because clubs will be thinking, how injury prone is he, or is this a reoccurring issue? But if he has a really good Euros, his value will hopefully go right back up, and then hopefully that'll allow Wolves to bring in a few more players, especially in that part of the pitch they unfortunately sell.
Nice. Mario Lemina came in because of obviously bereavement issues with his dad and everything, and he wanted to be close to his brother, and I thought that was really, really special, and really good move from Wolves, to be fair. Probably kept Mario on the straight and narrow, which was really nice. And another reason why I want Mario as captain, really, because we've seen how he is with his family, and we've seen how he is with his brother, and you get that, if you get that sort of family relationship around the team, I think you've got a captain there in Mario. I think it'll be class. I'm not sure what I'll do with him though, because if you loan him out, he's going to go to a club that's obviously not the calibre of Wolves. Maybe a club that's coming up, maybe. So he's still in the Premier League and he's still in England. He's still in like England or something. Maybe Leicester or something like that. So he's still close to the club or whatever. I'm not sure. I think a loan would do him good. It's just the fact that he's his brother. That's the only issue in it. But I think a loan for me would probably be better than keeping him and just sitting on the bench if he's got potential.
Is this Noah Lemina?
Noah Lemina. Is that what I said? Did I say Mario?
I think you did at the start.
It's Noah Lemina, sorry.
I think probably keep Noah because of having his brother there, but I think Gary has got a plan for him as well.
All right, yeah.
And I think, putting him on the bench and stuff like that is giving him a little bit of confidence.
Under 21s as well.
Yeah, exactly. And just like we've seen with Enzo as well, I think we hold on to Noah Lemina.
Cool. John?
Yeah, I'm going to say the same. I think you can see with Man City, for example, now there's a few players now that they like to keep around the squad. They don't loan out. Some they do, but some they don't. They try and get them as close as possible to the squad with that mentality of the more experienced players. His brother there. And I think, as you say, Gary's got a bit of an idea, I think, what he wants to do with him. And he's got the opportunity to play with the Wolves youth teams, under 21s and stuff, and 23s. So, definitely a player I'd probably keep.
Cool. Daniel?
Yeah, I'd just keep him, again, with the youth team, similar to what John was saying. And maybe the year after is more appropriate for a loan, maybe the Championship or League One. But I think keep him within the system and keep him on the training ground for now, I think.
Nice. I think we can all be in the same sort of opinion of this next player, Hwang Chan. I think he's got to stay. The season he's had's phenomenal. Hopefully, like, the injuries keep away from him next season and everything, and we see like a full season and see what he's capable of, because I feel like he can finish better than any player we've got. I feel like his finishing ability, the composure he shows, is just unreal, to be fair, at times. So yeah, he's a keep from me. I'm guessing everyone feels the same.
I'm on the fence.
One thing I would say is, though, is he 28 or 29 this season? The new season.
29, I think.
See, that's the thing. I don't think there'd be much point in even sending him anyway, because I know he's done really well.
It's 28.
He's got, sorry?
28.
Yeah, I think 28 is one of those ages where I don't think you'd get ridiculous money, so it just wouldn't be worth selling him anyway.
Cool. Cool.
We've got him for
Daniel?
a good price. He does he does the job, and he's obviously had a really good season. There's been no point in selling him, I think, at that age.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think as well, I think with the injuries as well, like you were saying about Neto, and clearly him, Cunha, Huang, they were all overplayed clearly, right? So hopefully with a few more additions, we'll have a full season.
Cool.
Yeah.
Kyle, what was you going to say?
I'm a bit on the fence with Wang. I think he's. I can't knock the season he's had. I can't knock it. I think he's been impressive, and he is a good finisher.
Yeah.
But
There is a but, and I don't think he's consistent enough. But then again, he has been.
Yeah. That's actually a really good point. What
I'm
Joe
just
said.
like that a bit with him.
He's more for the Korean fan base.
Well,
I think that's a
there
little
is
bit
that.
harsh because he's got some very good stats this season.
No, I think he means that
he has
as
got
well
good
as
stats.
I think
He
he's
has. I
phenomenal.
think he's. To be fair, this has been his best season, without a doubt, in a Wolf shirt. And some of the goals he's created.
When he's got confidence.
When he's
as well,
finished
a
them off,
class
he's been a
player.
bit lucky in times, and I'm probably being a little bit harsh because I think he can be a bit lazy sometimes and throw his arms up in the air and stuff like that. And
Think
I
about
hate
that
as a
Brentford
striker.
performance for me. That Brentford performance where he literally takes the ball over the guy's shoulder and then pops it in. I think you've got the goal against City as well. I mean, he's one of them players just knows where the goal is. You got to keep him.
Go on,
keep
him.
If you think about anyone who's going to finish a ball, it's going to be him, innit?
No, it'd be me. Sign me.
Keep him in.
Go on.
Nice one. Nathan Fraser. I'm going to actually loan him out.
Yeah,
I'd agree.
agree.
Loan
Yeah.
him out.
I think it was an awkward season for him, wasn't it? With
Yeah.
With the front situation. I think he'd have been loaned in January.
Someone again who needs game time, but he needs it where he hasn't got the weight of the Premier League on his shoulders.
Yeah.
I think we were expecting a bit too much of him, to be honest.
Yeah.
He also had quite a few injuries from what Gary O'Neill was saying as well. I think he was playing pain quite a bit, when you were quite short. So I think maybe a loan away might just do him a bit of good as well.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Pablo Sarabia. For me, that's probably going to upset people, but I think sell.
I would sell him as well, just because of his wages as well.
Yeah.
He's knocking on. I think technically he's a brilliant player. He's one of the best technical players we've got because he's been around. You can see his vision, and he reads the game so well. He's just not up to scratch to where he used to be for me.
I think my issue with Sarabia is where, like, when he's got a full 11, he's a really good player and he's a teammate. But when we saw the youth coming in, where we saw players where maybe we just wanted a bit more of a hug around those players, and I feel like Sarabia really let himself down a little bit in those games. Whereas a few times where he could have passed the ball to someone like Fraser or something, and just decided not to do it, and I just think like it was a few games like that for me. And
the way we used Sarabia, or the way we used him previous season just gone, I'd like to see us use Tawanda Chirewa more like that next season coming. I think he's got quite a bit of potential. So yeah, Sarabia isn't gone for me.
Cool, John.
Yeah, I would sell him. High wages at an age now where you've got to sell because I think he's only got 12 months left in his contract, and I think he's a perfect player to go to the Saudi League. I think the Saudis will give us a decent fee for him.
It's a great shout, to be fair, John.
Daniel.
Yeah, no, okay, everything you said. I think, could you get a better player, especially in transition on that side or either side, really? Yeah, if you can get a good fee for him, absolutely so.
Cool. Enzo Gonzalez, there's a lot of news coverage coming out for this guy just recently. And I actually think he's in Gary's plans for next season because we saw him come on quite a few times now against teams in that last couple of games. Especially, what was that game? What was that last game at home? God, my memory's shocking today. But whatever the last game at home was, he came on and in the last couple of minutes and showed a lot of intent to get forward and everything. And he's a player with a lot of a career in front of him. So I think keep him, mould him into a Wolves player basically around all the talent we've got in there already.
I agree. Keep him.
Yep.
John?
I'm going to say loan him, just because I've got a feeling that Chiquinho will come back from his loan. So that's another winger who's got to fight to get a position. I've got another feeling that we will probably get another starting winger bought into the squad, especially if Podence gets sold. If Guedes gets sold, I think we'll bring in another winger. So then you've got another new winger and Chiquinho, all probably going to be above playing in top of him. So I reckon I'd loan him.
Nice. Daniel?
I'd keep them for now. And I know John mentions Chiquinho as well. I think they're the type of players you keep to have a look at in pre-season. And then, depending on the transfer business, then you maybe decide in the last week, so maybe loan. But I think for now, keep and see what they look like.
Nice. Matheus Cunha. It's got to be a keep, innit?
Keep.
Straight away.
Keep,
Not even any question. Should we put him right at the front?
For that one.
Easy. So there's a couple of loanies now. We've reached the loanies. There's a couple missing actually. I know. I couldn't get I missed one player out. I think I was just looking. I think Chihuahua I'm missing out. So yeah, whoops. Chihuahua, I'd probably keep him. We've said we would keep him anyway, didn't we, Kyle?
Yeah.
So Louis Molden, I think probably about time we sell him. Really.
I think so as well. Yeah, try and get a bit of money for him. Just gives us a little bit more to play with in the transfer market as well. I know we won't get a lot for him, but yeah, I think it probably time. He's never going to be a Wolves starting player, is he? So I think League One, League Two, maybe.
Yeah. John?
Yeah, I'd loan him.
Loan him out? Not sell?
Well,
cool.
I'd loan him. I'd loan him and sell, I think.
All right, cool. Daniel?
I'd probably go with Kyle and sell him. I think any money you can get for him just helps with the transfer business.
Keanu Hoover on loan at the moment. Hasn't really ever broke into the Wolves team. Has always seemed to have a bit of an attitude problem from what we've heard. Obviously, we only hear what we hear and whatever. It might not be the case, but doesn't really seem to have a Wolves career, in my opinion. I would probably sell him. Kyle?
Yeah, another one. I think he's done okay for Stoke. He's been there or thereabouts, hasn't he? I don't think he's going to cut the mustard at Wolves, so I'd probably get rid of him now. I think he's had enough time on loan to prove himself. You know, if he was going to develop into what we all thought when we first brought him in, then I think he probably would have by now. So I'd probably let him go as well.
Nice one, Joe.
Yeah, I'd definitely sell him. I just don't think. I think even now you hear Stoke fans say he's really good getting forward, but he's just not defensively up to the best fullback. So yeah, I'll definitely sell him.
Daniel?
Probably going to say this about a few players who are left, but similar to the few we just mentioned, I think you sell. And if you get any money now to build up that kitty for the summer, I think that's what you have to look at more than anything.
Yeah, sound. Oh God, I can't remember who this guy even is. Who's this guy?
Mate, it's too small for me to see on my phone. I can't see.
All right, we'll go to their next one because this is one of John's favourites anyway. Mascara.
Mate, that looks like Noah Lamina to me.
No. This is Mascara here, but I've got my mouse under. So Mascara first. We'll go through Mascara first.
Yes, and Mascara.
I think keep
100%.
Sure. I think
one
get
of our
him
best
back.
Prospects.
Yeah, get him back. Get him in our centre backs and see what he can do.
Yeah, he's one of our best prospects. Probably the best prospect we haven't got in our squad at the moment. Yeah, keep him 100%. I think he's I think, to be fair, he could be one of our starting players next season. I think he's had a brilliant season.
There we go, Ellie. Ellie, you are coming out with the goods today, Ellie. You are coming out with the goods. Lembakista.
Oh, Dexter Lembakista, okay.
It's the old picture of him, man. I don't know where I've got that picture from. It's like it's like an embryo of a man.
A workman always blames his tools.
Yeah. Well, that's how it is, isn't it? Thanks for that, Ellie, man. What a legend coming in again.
Top last, well done.
Twice in a row now. Yeah. So
get her on the pod.
Lembakista. What do you think? I think sell. I think.
I think we could probably still make a bit of money with him on loan.
You reckon?
I think keep it ticking over. I'll probably loan him again.
Cool.
Yeah, I reckon loan. I think there's definitely potential there, and the fact that he's getting called up, I think he's for Jamaica and he's doing it right there. I think maybe loan him.
True.
Especially if he's willing to extend his contract if we loan him.
Cool. Daniel?
I agree with Carl and John. I think you loan him for either potentially selling the season after, or you have a potential squad player there.
I think he's someone we can probably loan with an option to buy, because I don't think he's going to be in and around our squad really from where we'd like it to go. Yeah, I'd probably loan him.
Nice one.
Loan to buy.
Awesome. Joe Hodge, I think, is that?
No, Joe Hodge is further down, isn't he? Joe Hodge is fourth.
Ellie.
Ellie, who's this? Guedes for me, you got to sell for me.
Yeah.
Is it Kundal? Is it Luke Kundal?
Luke Kundal.
Is it
coming in now? Did Ellie get there first though?
No, I don't know. I can't see from here. I can't see it from here.
I'm gonna just say Ellie again. What a legend, mate! Get her on this bloody panel. Get her instead of me, Christ. Yeah, we'll we'll go for Kundal. I actually think sell. I think you get a couple of million for him now.
I think it's all right.
Championship player for me, which is not a bad thing either. Sometimes I think that's just.
I think he's another one that we could probably loan with an option. I think he's still quite young and he's still got a bit of growing to do, a bit of maturity maybe to add to his game as well. Probably loan with an option with him.
Loan. I say sell. John?
Sell.
Daniel?
Yeah, I'd say sell. I don't think his stock's going to rise much higher.
Cool. Guedes. Oh my God, this guy, man. So expensive when he came in. And I do understand what they were doing, because if you look at what he was doing in the league he was in, he was smashing goals in left, right and centre. And it just seemed like who we needed at the time. And he was Portuguese and everything. And he just seemed like it was a great deal. But he just didn't want to be at Wolves straight away. Like the second he came into Molineux, he was just like, nah, I'm all right. Get me some sun. And then, so for me, it's a sell.
Yeah, I think we cash in on him. I would like to see him under Gary O'Neill, but he don't want to be here, does he? No. So yeah, get him gone.
John.
Yeah, definitely sell. He's definitely at the age as well where you don't want him to be around much longer under Wolves, because he's just lose value. So yeah, try and sell him this summer. He's not had a bad back end of the season with Villarreal, so yeah, definitely sell.
Cool. Daniel?
Yeah, agreed. I think it's
got to, isn't he? I think he's a decent player. It's just he doesn't want to be at the club, and you just can't have players like that.
It's the same like we have with Catrone, isn't it? Patrick Catrone
and Podence as well. Podence as well. Same sort of thing. Chiquinho, I actually think keep him and see what Gary O'Neill can do with him. Yeah,
I agree.
John?
Yeah, definitely. I would keep him pre-season, see what happens. But yeah, he's done a pretty good loan spell, I think.
Nice. Daniel?
Yeah, exactly that. Have a look at him pre-season. If he needs another loan, then Faz, but definitely keep him.
Fabio Silva. Now, don't talk about my boy too much. Don't you talk about my boy, man.
Get him gone, man. Just get him
Sell.
gone. He's so
Yeah.
expensive, man, and just get him gone.
I know.
Get him gone. Sorry, Dan. I know he's your love child, but he's got to go.
He's gone, isn't he? He's got to go. Yeah. All right. Cool. I'm up for selling him. Everyone else?
Yeah.
Didn't he have a huge bust up with Alex Ray as well at Rangers?
Yeah, apparently. According to what
some people
say.
denied that though. Some of the sources close to the club denied that.
Okay.
I'm going to say, if there's one player you don't want to get a bust up, he's bloody him, innit? Jesus Christ. Alex Ray. What a nut job. I love him.
I love him.
So we've Joe Hodge. I actually really like Joe Hodge. When he was playing for Nuno and Bruno Lage. He's on loan and whatever. I don't know if he's doing that good on loan, John. Is he all right on loan?
He's doing all right. Yeah, he's doing all right. Not too bad, not too good. He's just doing all right, ticking along. Do
you think keep him on loan?
I think loan him. I think especially if he wants to extend his contract for that loan, I'd definitely do it.
Because I think he's better than Kundal.
Yeah, he is. Yeah,
I think he's got a bit about him, hasn't he? Daniel, what do you think?
I think similar to Hugo Bueno in a way. I think you try and loan him to a better championship side. Maybe his value goes up. Then make a decision. I think.
I'm going to throw it out there. I actually think keep him. I think Gary had worked well with him. He seems to be that sort of player you can mould into what you'd like him to be. And I think he can be quite adaptable. And from what we've seen of him, he's a decent player. I'd actually keep Kundal.
That's fair.
Hodge, sorry.
That's fair. What about Sasha Kalajdzic, the nice man? I don't
think we've got much choice, have we? Because
he's going
to be back till September.
Yeah. Daniel, what have you met Sasha Kalajdzic? He seems like the nicest bloke in the world.
I actually haven't, because not in a horrible way. He's not been fit for that long, and then he wasn't in the team enough to be part of any interviews. So I haven't actually met him yet, but in the documentary, Wolves made it.
He's always there going, hi, I'm Sasha. Hi, I'm Sasha. Every time a new player comes in, hi, I'm Sasha. Yeah, I think we've got to sell him though, haven't we? Based on his injury record. I don't know who's going to buy him. I don't know if he'll stay where he is at the moment in Frankfurt. I know they kind of like him as well.
I don't think that we can sell him till January. From what I've heard, they don't think he'll be able to play football till September, potentially October. So I think they'll register him for the squad in case he comes back in October, so he can play the back end of like the first half of the season, and then I suppose the only opportunity we've got to loan or sell him or keep him make a decision in January.
It's got to be
actually unfortunately see Sasha retiring early.
Oh mate, that would be brutal, wouldn't it?
I know, and it does happen, and I think unfortunately Sasha's going that way. It's huge injury. I've just had my ACL done, and it's brutal. It's horrible.
Yeah.
I can't wait to get back on a football pitch, and I only had it done on the 20th of March. It's been like 2 months and a bit, and I'm already itching. He was out for a year, and it's the mental side of it as well. How much of that can you take as a human being rather than just a player? I can actually see him retiring early for his own mental well-being. It's a shame because, like you say, he looks like a really nice guy. You can tell he's got a little bit about him. He's a presence in the air. But yeah, unfortunately, I'd keep him, but I can't see him playing much.
Yeah, John.
Yeah, I think we have no choice but to keep him for the first half of the season. But I reckon come January, just see what offers you get in for him. If it's stupid offers, you might as well keep him for the other half of the season, just so we can build up his value at least. He definitely offers something slightly different off the bench.
Yeah, Daniel, what do you think?
I would. This is a bit out there. I'd maybe go with none of the above. I'd be quite surprised if he's even in the Premier League kind of.
That's
squad.
true.
Gary O'Neill made it quite clear in January he doesn't fancy him. I mean, he's had more. We asked him multiple times, would you have changed your mind because of all the injuries up front? And he said, absolutely not, because I made my decision on the likes of Fabio, the likes of Sasha. He he didn't fancy them. So I wonder, again, this is me being very hypothetical, but if he's not going to be fit till September, October, I just wonder, do Wolves and Sasha come to an agreement maybe to just terminate his contract, let him train with whoever he wants, maybe just sign as a free agent? Because if Gary doesn't fancy him, if he's not in that Premier League list, I'm not sure what money or what value you get in January.
Similar to like what happened with Johnny Otto a little bit, obviously without the controversy around it, but like just
I just wonder with these things, you just come to some sort of agreement where it's not good for him. He probably just wants to train and maybe just sign with whoever. And for Wolves, if Gary doesn't fancy him, he's not going to get into the team. I appreciate what Kyle said. He clearly has good attributes, but if Gary O'Neill doesn't fancy him, he's not going near that team, I think.
Nice. Kem Campbell, we've not really seen him very often. I think he's it's an awkward player for me. I think alone, just see what he's like again. I don't know what he's been like. John, have you seen?
There's one player I haven't really kept like a close eye on, really. So I can't really say, but I'd probably go towards Sal because I don't think he's really done that well. I've got him as notification, so we don't get many goals or whatever he's doing because he don't get. You
would have heard it by now, wouldn't you, if he was doing like well and pulling up trees and whatever. So,
I would sell him as well.
Yeah,
I think he's been at the club long enough now to prove himself, and he just hasn't really. Yeah. He had a couple of appearances in the unders. He did all right. He was never outstanding. He was one of the better players for the unders, but again, he's not really cutting the mustard. And I'd probably look at selling him now.
Cool. John said sell as well. Daniel, what do you think?
Yeah, I think I'd agree. I think when do you remember when Steve Davis had that period last season? When Chen and Hugo came in, I don't think Chen made enough of an impression really to stay in and around without that squad. And I think at 21 as well, that stock and potential, you start going, actually, it might not quite be there. So yeah, I'd sell him.
I think he's a player that will probably has. I think he's got some potential there. It's just weird with him, isn't it? I can feel like there's potential with that player. It's bizarre.
Probably needs to go down and build himself back up.
Yeah.
In a few years, we might see him further.
Daniel Podence, what a last player to have. I'm really gutted for Podence. I really want him to just go, you know what? I love Wolves. It's the best thing in the world. I can't wait to go back. But all he wants to do is smash plates in Greece, doesn't he? That's all he wants to do. And I can't blame him. Greece is a lovely place and everything, but I just think, like, you're better than that, man. And I know that's no disrespect to Olympiacos, but, like, in terms of a league, like, okay, like, European football is brilliant, but, like, in terms of the Greek league, I think he's a better player than that.
Just briefly, does anyone know if they're winning?
I don't know. Kyle,
it's 0-0 at the moment.
Yeah. Well, what I would say, maybe you can shed some more light on it, Danyal. With Potence's exit, was that more of a argument with Lopetegui, or was that more of a disagreement with the club? Do you think maybe with a new manager? I know Gary did say in one of the press conferences that he wanted to have a sit down with Dan when he comes back.
Yeah.
Before he makes any decisions. Is that because of maybe disagreements with Lopetegui and not with O'Neill, or?
Yeah, it felt like the decision with Podence going to Olympiacos was made well before Gary O'Neill came into the club. So whether Gary would have kept him or not, cool. None next time. So it was well made before Gary O'Neill came into the club. So I think that's why he said I'd like to have a chat and actually get to know where Podence's head is really with the Wolves and what he feels, because yeah, as you mentioned, I don't think Lopetegui really fancied him. We know he didn't fancy a few of the players in the Wolves squad. I think if he had his own way in the summer, probably a few other players would have left if he had his own way. So one thing I will say about Podence is I saw him in person for the first leg against Aston Villa, and he was class. I mean, he was so good. Obviously, and I'm sure what you all appreciate, he loves to rattle up the players, the fans. He's just a great character, isn't he? But he's still a great player. Yeah, I think you mentioned that, Dan. I mean, it's kind of what his ambition is really now, isn't it? Does he want to have a bit more of a cozy life in Greece and guarantee of Champions League or European football, I should say, every year, or whether he wants to grind it out back at Wolves. I think.
Nice. So, what we saying?
If it was up to us, I'd actually keep Podence.
Yeah, I think keep him as well.
I actually think he's a good backup if Neto does go.
Look at the goals he scored for us as well, by the way.
And this is
I'll say keep.
He's quick and he's got that low centre of gravity, and it's really entertaining again to watch. And if his head's not in it, how much of that ability and potential does actually come out in 90 minutes, But I think a good long chat with Gary O'Neill, if Gary has got him in his plans, I think would probably turn his head. And I think, if Neto goes, I think Podence is a very good fill-in.
Cool. What do you think then, John? Do you think we should keep him?
I'm going to say keep until we have the conversation, because we don't know how that conversation is going to go.
Yeah, fair. So keep until
Yeah.
This is our initial reaction as well, by the way. So it could all change by then anyway.
I also think in terms of what you'll get for him, is it worth losing him? In terms of, I know in January, Celtic were interested in him, and the value was kind of around 6-7 million, but actually for what he can bring to the team, is it worth selling him for that? Probably not.
Daniel Podence in the chat, Olympiakos with you, UEFA Champions League, or Wolves mid-table relegation battles.
They've won the Greek League, did they? So I didn't think they did win the Greek League.
I don't know.
No, they didn't. They finished like third, so they're not in the Champions League now. I think they were.
I was going to say, and we don't even know if they're going to win the conference. Like, they could still lose that, so we don't even know if they're going to have. Yeah,
no, they're definitely not.
Daniel Podence in the chat, man. What a guy.
Get your phone back in your sock and carry on playing.
Please stay.
No, I'd keep him.
Yeah. I just want to see I just want to see that conversation. I want to be the fly on the wall in that office when he comes into that office with Gary.
Do you know what? It'd be one of the more interesting ones, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I'd really like to listen in on that. But
right, so that's it, guys. That's our list. We've got a lot of bloody players staying, but if you think about it, actually, we've got rid of some deadwood. We've got rid of a couple of assets. I think Sarabia's wages going as well is something that's a bit understated, I think, because his wages are insane. You know what I mean? So him going and Neto going with Guedes money, Fabio money, and that's really it, really. Because we've been getting him for Sasha and whatever, but I feel like there's a bit of money there where we can sort
definitely a bit
out.
To play with, isn't there?
Yeah.
And then obviously if Podence goes, there's a bit of money as well. So I don't think that's a bad choice.
I'm hoping he does go, because he'd have to have his shirt back otherwise.
Yeah, you're gonna have to give it him back, ain't you? Bless.
My first ever Wolves shirt, that was 1994.
Jesus. Right.
I was a very small guy.
There's a tier list done. Right. I can't believe how long this podcast's gone. Sorry, guys. I didn't expect it to go that long. I'm really, really sorry, Daniel, for having you here. And oh my God, sorry, bro.
It's been an absolute pleasure, though. By the way,
we
have absolutely loved having you on. You've been
one of the
very, very good special guest.
It's been good fun.
Yeah, the insights and everything have been fantastic. A little bit of an insight on what you do as a job, really. Because I think
thank you.
It's really
I would love to have your job, by the way, Daniel. Sounds like an awesome job, man. You must love it.
No, and to be fair, though, I have to say, like, covering Wolves is great. I mean, I love covering Wolves in terms of the players, the team, but even the press team, and even interacting with the fans on social media at the games. I mean, I really love covering the club. I have to say, they probably shouldn't say this about the other Midlands clubs I cover, but they generally are like my favourite club to cover because.
You can say that. We'll clip it.
I really enjoy it. I mean, it's been great on the last 2 years or so. And, hopefully next season will be even more interesting. We'll see.
Well, you're always welcome. And thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'll catch up with you guys before a game, I'm sure. Should do some Skysports news at some point.
Definitely, man. Definitely.
Yeah, nice one. Well, Daniel, you can get off if you want. Thank you so much for sticking around for 2 and whatever hours. I'm really sorry that lasted so long. But, we had a lot to talk about, and I was just enjoying it far too much.
It was here 15 minutes before you.
I know. It's never normally the way either, is it? I'm normally the one here waiting for you lot.
To be fair.
No, thanks very much, guys. Take care.
Nice one, Danyal. See you later.
And you,
bud.
Danyal,
See
all
you
the
later.
best.
Guys, I'm going to drop off as well, if that's all
Yeah,
right.
John.
Mate,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
me.
yeah.
I've got to shoot as well.
Carry on.
Nice one, guys. See you in a bit.
It's been a pleasure, lads.
See you in just a sec. I'm going to stay a little bit longer just to talk to the chat about what's going on with Fosun. But you're welcome to go, guys, if you want.
I'll have another 10 minutes then.
Nice.
We'll speak
Cool.
to our people.
I'm sorry that it's took this long, guys. 2 hours and 25 minutes. We had a lot to cover today. I really love Danyal. I think he's such a breath of fresh air in terms of a pundit and in terms of a reporter. I just think like he's just such a nice guy and
Sound bloke.
Just really, I love how like he really lets you in on all of the things that go on behind the scenes as well. Like a lot of people would be a little bit more shut up to about all those things, and so hopefully you've seen a little bit of his world, which is very good. But yeah, you're stuck with me and Carl for a bit, which is unfortunate for you.
Lucky you.
You dealt with us for an hour last time. If you haven't watched that video, by the way, me and Kyle met up in person in Shrewsbury. Lovely drive.
At my house.
Not in the rain. Was vile on the way back, by the way. Absolutely. I thought I was going to die about 12 times. It was horrible.
To be fair, mate, you didn't leave till about 11:30.
Mate, it was just dark, rain, and just people up my arse the whole time. Sounds like a funny evening, but it will.
Welcome to Shropshire, my friend.
Yeah. So, yeah, guys, joking aside, we did a video, an hour long or something. I can't remember. It's about an hour.
Yeah, just under, I think, about 55 minutes, something like that.
Based upon everything that's obviously going on with the ticking situation at the moment with Wolves and the finance situation at Wolves. Yeah, you can probably see a little QR code over there. If you don't know what a QR...
This way, wait, here.
If you don't know what a QR code is, all right, I'm not going to be offended.
No, I've got it. It's here. All right.
What a QR code is, yeah, you got your phone, you take out your camera app, you aim in at that QR code, and then a little link will appear, and you press it, and then bosh, it shall appear like magic.
Is it one of them, if you're watching it on your phone, then you can screenshot it and click it on your pictures?
Yep.
See, I know stuff.
You know what I mean? So that'll bring you up to this petition screen, which I'm going to show you guys now. And then I'm going to talk about a couple of bits and bobs that you don't know about.
In the meantime,
so
I've got a sticker here from the lovely Dan.
Hey up.
And I don't know where to put it, so you guys can decide for me. It can go anywhere.
No rude places.
In this. Yeah, not on me, because obviously I've got a shower and stuff.
Obviously.
You know, wouldn't see it.
As you can see, guys, we're reaching. Actually, I'm going to refresh. Actually, it's probably a better idea to give it a good old refresh. Hopefully, it doesn't crash. There we go. Lovely. 12,926 signatures, nearly 13,000 signatures. I want to see that number rise while we're having this conversation. That would be lovely. So, what is all this about? We did a video about it. So I'm not gonna talk too much about it because we've done a video about it and we covered how we feel about all the situations and why you should do this in the first place. So I'm not going to talk too much about it, but I am actually going to just say I was in a meeting earlier with the Wolves Trust, and I'm just going to say there's not much movement going on at the moment. So this needs to keep happening to wake Jeff up and be like, look here, mate, this is unacceptable. This needs sorting. And if it ain't going to get sorted, we're going to the next level. And that's basically where the Wolves Trust are at the moment. We're thinking about what other things we can do to start making a fuss about it all. If you've got any ideas, put them in the comments now, please. Even if this video is already out, and whatever it's at, put a comment in. I am pretty good at keeping up with you lot. So if you think, well, you probably won't say anything about what I'm going to say, I probably will, actually. So at the moment, I've got no life because I'm off work. So just sit there.
Same, yeah.
So, yeah, if you've got anything you want to say, if you've got any ideas that the trust can do in order to make some changes happen, Holy crap. Dan, they think the trust is a pain they have to talk to. The thing is, don't accept the idea of a trust if you're not going to use them. That's my opinion in that. Like, if you're going to if you're going to have your club and it's going to be like in the Premier League and just do all these amazing things, you know, you need a trust group that's going to be able to keep things on the straight and narrow. And if you're just going to ignore them and you're not going to do things where you've obviously made mistakes, you know, 13,000 people say the same thing, then you're in the wrong job, Jeff. And if Fosun's behind it as well, which I think they are, then we just need new ownership in general. To be honest, guys, I think this goes past Jeff, in my opinion. I think some of the things that Dave's been saying recently on the Always Wolves channel, with his most recent video, saying that our owner of Fosun's very much tied into all of the things that are happening at the moment financially at Wolves, in terms of like the merchandising and stuff. So it's very much not just Jeff, it is very much a Fosun issue as well. And things need changing. We spoke about it on the trust, a couple of things that are going to happen. I'm not going to give them away just yet because they haven't been confirmed, but I would like to take, obviously, your ideas. So if you've got any ideas, please feel free to email us at wwfcnewschat@gmail.com. I've popped it into the chat right now. That is our email. And what I want you guys to do is, if you've got any ideas whatsoever that the trust can do in order to make more of a change happen, you need to email that email, and I'll forward anything that I think have any good ideas, basically. Obviously, we're not out of ideas. A lot was said in the meeting, and I did have to leave a bit earlier, so I might have missed a couple of bits and bobs. But if anyone's watching from the trust, everything I heard is definitely a positive going forward. We just need to show a bit of bottle and get this stuff over the line. Ellie says, what happens when we hit 15,000 signatures? That's just a goal, Ellie. I don't know if you can see just underneath that. It says next goal. So it just never stops. There's no like stopping this. This is just going to be a thing that just continues going. Yeah. There's North Street saying, not got the balls to freeze the tickets for the disabled fans. That's just it. I think that's the thing that I spoke about, was addressing the ticketing situation in certain areas that they've messed up on, instead of just going straight at it and going, no, reduce it all. Think about what they're trying to do. I do get it on a business side of things. I just think they've gone around it just the worst possible way. So yeah. I was shocked to see Wolverhampton was going out of the branding at Molineux. Oh yeah, so there's not a lot of branding at the moment at Molineux that actually says Wolverhampton on it. It's all saying Wolves, and the reason for that, obviously, they want to move away from the city idea and move more towards the brand idea, which is another reason why they need to get out of the club, in my opinion, because the city comes first. City and the fans come first every time. Mm-hmm. In any club you're in, by the way, any club, not just Wolves, any club, the city comes first. That's why you're there.
Sound. Dan, I'm going to shoot off, mate. So.
Yes, Kyle.
All right, guys.
Yeah, nice
it's been a pleasure. Like, subscribe, all that shenanigans, and I will see you very soon.
Nice one, Kyle. See you later, bro. Basically, guys, I'm gonna